Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Audio check, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. All right, Pedro, give me a second here. What's going on here? Sorry for the blasting music, everyone. Hit the right button this time, but it was a little loud. Audio check one more time. Audio check, let us know in the comments if you can hear me, and Pedro too. Pedro, what are you doing there? You got an audio check for me?
Audio check, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
All right.
Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show started.
Holy moly, lonely, only when
Yes.
I'm holy zoning, cozy in my holy home. Without my homie ceremonies, owning in my own, roaming through my dome, hoping that I'm only throwing stones to get you going. Maybe you could clone me, break the ache and make me hate the way forsaken snakes take their stake in what I make and break it. Maybe lay it on a plate, maybe shoot it out in space to watch it die. Either way, I ain't trying to lie.
Give us 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be on with you shortly.
Taking a second to look into everything I can spirit beneath all the hate and the good in the way that they want to just make me believe in anything they can conceive. Keep it inside, I break with the flow. Give me your ride, I'll open the door. When we arrive, I'll look at my soul. Nothing to see, nothing to know. Don't you know me, homie? I'll be on these lonely roads, riding with my don't please open, hoping someone sees me choking. Pulling the cover up over my eyes, starting nothing to restore my sight. Put an emotion, can't keep it inside. Freaking the beat, believe it's my mind. Wondering how other words in my head will be. Coming right back to the start of the beat. People been leaving their evil open, hoping that God will see them free. Learn to sail your inner ocean. Hearts swollen, souls frozen. Potion got me open. I can feel the bad omen. Lost in this moment.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show here with my co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. Pedro, what's happening this morning? You're off center and your mic is a disaster. Or I guess it's his cough. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is July 3rd, 2025 here. One more day until our nation's 249th birthday here. As you may know, I was in next year is 250 in 1776. It was 250 of our army, because the army precedes the formation of our country, if you can believe that. Anyway, tomorrow's July 4th. I was in Canada for July 1st the other day. Came back enjoying the best of both worlds. Had a day off on the 1st, but streamed anyway. Had a day off tomorrow for the 4th. Not going to stream tomorrow. But anyway, it's a good day in Bitcoin land too, because of Pedro and I have got a lot of things to talk about that are going to affect your Bitcoin bag. Specifically, how the U.S. dollar has to do with all of these numbers coming out now. Jobs report was good today. Unemployment was good today. There's no hope for a rate cut now, Pedro, I believe, and we'll talk about that later in the show. Some good stuff came out with these good numbers. Clearly, the president is probably not happy that the betting line for a rate cut has gone almost to zero. But the economy is working. The economy is working, and a couple of nuggets of information came out from the government, and specifically a guy by the name of Stephen Meron, the White House chairman of his economic committee, kind of the chief economist that Mr. Trump listens to. Very interesting day. So, Pedro, what is happening in your world? Yeah, I don't think you got your mic selected that's around by your face. I think you got like a webcam. Hey, it wouldn't be DYOR Live without some technical issues, ladies and gentlemen. If it's not me, that's Pedro today. But this is Pedro. This is a good time to say, hey, CDW out there, we'd like you to sponsor our channel. And we would like you to be our product and technology sponsor. So get in touch with us and feel free to upgrade Pedro and I's computers, and I'll pitch you every day on this show. Trust me. But anyway, today we're broadcasting on all the good channels. Today we are on Rumble today. We are on X. We are on the meager YouTube, but also I thought this would be an important conversation today, Pedro. So I put this over on LinkedIn too. So I thought that would be I thought that today would be a good discussion for LinkedIn, even though the oh, there you go, the sound's all good now. You know, you didn't tell me that was the sound was doing that. I'm not. You know what? Anyway, sounds good now. But oh, well, getting yourself. Well, Pedro, can you hear me okay now? Can you hear all of our fans cheering from us now on this slow day? The market's actually closing in a half hour here today. Obviously, Bitcoin is not closing in a half hour. Bitcoin runs all the time, along with many of these other instruments we trade. But the general market closing today early means the liquidity will be sapped out of the market. And keep an eye out for crazy moves in the market today. But once again, I defer back to Pedro. Pedro, yesterday, or sometime in the past couple hours, we had some discussions about job creations. They actually came in today higher than expectations. The notes I have, also unemployment came in better than expected, meaning fewer people were unemployed, not more people, depending on your view of things. But that's how I look at it, and the world looks at it. And so some good news where everyone is predicting doom for the economy. These little nuggets of information saying, hey, the economy is moving along okay. It's not the doom the Democrats predicted. It's not great because interest rates are still higher than people would like them for the mortgage industry, but it's keeping inflation down at 1.5%. So I found all that stuff pretty interesting. I'm sure we'll have a nice long show talking about it. But Pedro, tell us what's going on in BTC first. Let's get these crypto junkies fed with the BTC knowledge before we hit them up with the dollar.
Liquidity, which is going to be that 104.824 area. So ultimately, that's what we're looking for today. And remember, make sure you put your stops in when you take this short, and have fun with it. All right. That's about it in a nutshell.
All right, Pedro, as apparently the switcheroo of your microphone from one to the other caused my system to default from one to the other, and we missed your Bitcoin review there. Ladies and gentlemen, Bitcoin went up and it went down and it went up. Sorry for that, but our technical problems prevented Pedro's Bitcoin analysis from coming out there.
Do you want me to just say it again real quick?
Yeah, just give a summary of it. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, on that. I just know I turned on my ear monitor here, and I'm like, I don't hear Pedro, and my system was still listening to your phone microphone.
Okay. So we talked about that today's volume has been, yesterday's volume was half of what we saw on Monday. When you look at the seller volume coming in, it's definitely more ask bid. Even though this market is moving up, it's moving up with a small amount of volume. And you can see here, it was a pretty big day yesterday in connection with today. Now, we talked about yesterday that if we do come back up, I expect us to hit this level here of that 111, 110 area, and then see a sell-off. So that's exactly what we saw today. So if you guys took that short, they took the they pushed it up in the morning, as you guys can see here. Boom, 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 boom. Then they came through and they hit this zone again right here, and then they pushed it down. The area that I am looking at is primarily down at this level here, which is going to be the 107,650 to the 107,400. Find this little area here on your guys' charts. I again have the Bifinex US dollar BTC, or BTC US dollar. And you can see here that these levels here, we should come back down on the hour. This should line up with the 200 period moving average on the hour chart. And so we should come down to these levels, pick up these buyers here, and then continue. We may see a slight jump if we do at this level here. This might be a pullback to pick up more buyers or pick up more sellers as we push up. So this area right here might act as the price pull back, boom, come back up, and then come back down. So be ready for that. And this area is an intraday time frame zone. That's why, like I told Tom yesterday, it acts as a area that I'm looking. It's not super strong per se, like a daily zone, but it's an intraday zone. And so it's something that if you're looking to play, if you're looking to take a part of, boom, there you go. You can take this short. If you do take this short, you want to make sure that you're on the right side of your trending mechanism. So for me, everybody knows I use the 8 period moving average on the 5 and 15 minutes to really let me know that we're still in that trend. And as long as we're staying above that or below that with the majority of my moving averages, I know that we're going to continue down. So make sure you're on the correct side. If you're going to take that day trade back down to that 107.50 or 107.650 area to the 107.400 area. Again, I want to repeat that this is the BTC USD Bifinex chart. Okay, so to make sure you have the correct, if you're not trading that one, just make sure that you have the correct area. Like I said, on your 100 or on your 60-day chart, excuse me, not 60-day, 60-minute period chart. You want to have the 200 period moving average in that zone that I put here at the level here. And that would be here at this level here. You can see this. Alrighty, guys. So that's about it in a nutshell. But like I said, from a daily standpoint, this does not make sense that we're still pushing up. Like I said, I think they're just coming in to get sellers here to drop the market down. And you can see just the volume yesterday it was just barely half of what we saw on Monday. Tuesday, we just look at the amount of seller volume coming in, and then we pushed up. Now, again, I think we might end with at the end of the week here as a doji, potentially, just simply because we're coming back down. This would be Thursday. This would be Friday-ish, coming down into these levels here, and then see it come back down. So anyways, if not, and it continues up, what do? When the market shows trending, whatever trending mechanism you use, we go long, right? All right,
Yep.
So that's about it in a nutshell.
All right, Pedro. It's coming into a nice holiday week. It's non-farm payroll today, meaning the jobs report came out today. That usually keeps people out of the market in the first place. Not totally out of the market, but just a little bit less liquidity in the market because people want to see what that's going to do before it wrecks them. Obviously, long-term traders and long-term position holders don't care really about today as far as the numbers that come out. But the short-term guys do, the day traders and the hobbyists, as they say, in this business do. And it came out today, and the market really didn't do much at all. It just came out a little bit better than expected. Bitcoin initially dumped on it and then turned around and ran up. And everyone thought it was going to get some new highs, but really it was just gathering up FOMOs for them to sell off for a little exit liquidity before everyone headed out to the Jersey Shore and the Hamptons. So it was an interesting morning, literally all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Everyone's like, be careful, non-farm payroll. And today it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Part of me almost thinks that, just those numbers, they seem legit. I'm not saying that they don't, but there are a few other reports that don't correlate with it. So this is why it's like,
Are you getting those Biden administration vibes again?
I don't know. I don't want to.
Well, I got to tell you, from Jerome Powell did echo from his legions of PhD researchers that they have over at the Fed that they were also not seeing a problem with the labor force. I just watching another channel here that some guy from Charles Schwab who looked like the most liberal person you've ever seen on the planet, talking about, well, there's still cracks in the labor force, specifically referring to
the job creations and
referring to the agriculture industry not having millions of illegal immigrants working for it, and it's a problem for them. But on the other hand, we heard very astute people say, you know what, we haven't seen that problem on a wide scale. He said, first of all, because the U.S. government has been stepping up its enforcement of proper employment in the agricultural community. So and not just recently, but over the past 10 years or so. So they rely less on illegal immigration. There's more automation in farming now than ever before. They have AI driving tractors around, and along with GPS, and it's freeing up Mr. and Mrs. Farmer to do a lot of other things, and they don't have to hire as many people, and they're getting more yield, all this type of stuff. But he just came out and said, we haven't seen, and of course, you have to look at the bias of every report. This report was put out by someone that works for the president. So he said we haven't seen immigration being a big net negative immigration, meaning people going back to their home countries, being a problem that much at all. And unemployment of people that have legal job status is very at an acceptable. Obviously, we'd like to get it closer to zero for the people's sake, but some unemployment is good, so there's a reserve labor force there. When the economy expands, they need workers. They're available. But I just realized there's no music. I don't know if you heard any of our intro. You were having sound issues at the time, but I played an oldie. It's not oldie copyrighted, right? But it's another streamer let me use that a while ago, and I found it the other day. I was like, oh, here that is. Let's play that again. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for everyone that's watching us. As usual, our Rumble crowd is showing up here for the day. YouTube is not. Thank you very much. But welcome to everyone on LinkedIn. If you're watching, I see a couple over there watching on LinkedIn. Got any comments? Let us know. The great comment machine doesn't work so well with LinkedIn. So if I don't respond to you or get your comment up on the air, just keep at it. Just keep at it.
Keep at it. It's interesting. So when you look at really like the non-farm, what's actually happening here, unemployment, it actually, you can see here on this chart, it's not bad. Unemployment is going down, you can see.
Well, that's an interesting chart there. And really, if you smooth that out, I mean, it's month to month, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see here. So I mean, I just hope they're not messing with the numbers, and where you can. And here's the thing: people can feel it though. People have lost jobs. People are having less hours. So is the economy's going? We can see the forecast here. Here's been the forecast, right? And then here's the actual numbers, right? So you can see here, forecast is that orange line. The dark blue is the actual numbers. You can see here we came in, and then you have revised, which is lighter blue is actual, revised is the darker blue. You can see here that it's like, here's the actual numbers, the revised. You can see here the revised are more lower than what we've been watching.
Whereas during a previous administration, it varied a lot. Sometimes the revised was way worse. Sometimes it was way better. Maybe they just got better. New administration just got better people, and they're more consistent. I don't know.
Probably. And so that's why I'm just kind of looking at 25, and we can see this area, and you can see here where the revised versus, you can see the variations between the Biden administration in comparative to what we're seeing with the current administration, the Trump administration. Every time we say the word Trump, I notice that it does help us over on Rumble. You know, I have to admit, I was actually kind of cracking up watching that, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Hey. So, Enior, sorry.
I caught that.
Yeah. All right. So unemployment rate, let's check it out here real quick. Again, this is the Forex Factory, like the free side. You can sit here and look at this. Unemployment, we've seen it going higher. This is the part that I was bringing up. And so it's like, look, you can see here during unemployment was low. But again, this unemployment was the previous administration hiring for the government. So when people were losing private jobs, they would get hired for a government job. And then you'd have the trickle down effect because those people would get the contract or whatever it would be. And then you see an increase of employment because people would need to get hired for those situations. Now we're seeing the unemployment pick up, as you can see here. Okay. And so there's this, we thought we were going to have higher unemployment, but we didn't. It was lower. I'm curious to see the revised numbers because I just don't know if.
Well, regardless, the local trend is down, and that spans administrations. If you bring that chart back up for unemployment, it shows even during the Biden administration, unemployment was on its way down, and it's continuing on its way down. Now, have they changed a metric that is slowly causing it to go down without people noticing it? And it's just a metric; it's not the actual number. I don't know how they do that stuff. They have a number of people going out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20,652. Wait, what was that? Shit. 1, 2, 3. There's obviously some algorithms that run that, and they get data from the U.S. government, from the states, and all that type of stuff. But still, I'm sure it's not easy. But regardless, over time, it's going in the same direction. And you're right, Pedro. The media reports that many people are hurting, that they've been laid off, that all these types of bad news things, the economy's in doom. But every single one of those is anecdotal evidence. It's like when your neighbor on either side of you loses their job, and you're like, wow, like all the people on my floor are getting laid off. Am I next? I better start saving my money and all that. But it turns out both of them worked for, the USAID. And so, they just got their whole department riffed, boop, and they're out. But other industries are hiring like crazy, and as people bring their skills up, they get absorbed into those other industries. And a lot of government people lose their job. I mean, they riffed, 3 million people out of the government or something like that? 700 voluntarily, another 700,000 voluntarily, another 2 million. Whatever the numbers are, it's a lot. And many of those people are employable at the various think tanks think tanks or health companies, or there's all sorts of jobs for them. But a lot of them, there's not. You're a 30-year career, project manager for USAID. There's not a lot of jobs for you because all those companies that would hire you aren't getting any money from USAID now, and so they're not. So there's a lot of people that need to bring up their skills, and we'll start seeing that, or they drop out of the labor force, the measured labor force, by just retiring, or two, becoming an entrepreneur. I mean, we're not in the measured labor force here.
No, we're not. But we also don't bring any money, so.
Someday we will be. They're like, man, these guys, they got 50,000 people working for them. They put Rupert Murdoch to shame.
God, let it be so.
How about that for optimism on this July 3rd?
Dude, I'm actually, because I was the negative one. And so you just straight, I love that, bro. When I'm up, you're down. When you're down, I'm up. So let's go. But what's interesting, and I think the fact is, and I forgot to take the picture a couple months ago. I need to go check to see here real quick, but it's interesting. Look at after the big beautiful bill and what's actually going to correlate with it as we start to see the money bleed into the economy and see, because he says it's supposed to be a major stimulus for the U.S. government, or not the U.S. government. It's supposed to be a major stimulus for the U.S. economy. And so this reality is just, we've got to sit there and see what's going to happen here. It's only time will tell. I keep bringing up, he needs to bring up jobs, and he needs to be able to go through and make sure that it's going well with that manufacturing. Now, I hate to say it, but because we're seeing interest rates go or staying stagnant, we're going to be watching the slowdown with him being able to get manufacturing, getting cheap money to build those factories, to get people in it, and to really build that up. Now, yes, the U.S. job market is pretty tight. So if we do build those situations, if we build these manufacturing companies to start building our stuff, is the interest rate at a high rate? Is it going to hinder that? And so that's where I'm sitting there going, we'll see. You there, bud?
I am. Sorry, I was just noticing that my system also wasn't reading Mikester's comments on the great graphics machine.
Gotcha. Mike,
anyway,
what's up, man?
Thanks for watching us, Mikester. Really appreciate it. Whether you're watching us live in front of the screen or you're working and just listening to us, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. As always, please share with your friends and bring them all in for the DYOR party here.
Oh yeah. Let's go. So I just think it's a really interesting thing here as we keep moving forward. I'm trying to bring up, because I remember taking screenshots of this and I don't know where it is.
Well, if you have a Windows computer, they're always in your pictures screenshots. I guess it depends how you used. If you just did print screen or Windows Shift S, it always drops it in your screenshots folder.
There we are. US debt clock, boom. November 3rd, July 2025, boom. US debt clock. Got 50 of them in there. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, while Pedro's getting those in order, I want to thank everyone for watching us on Rumble on this July 3rd. Realize it's a day in which people are taking off for the weekend. If I was living out on the East Coast, like I joke about the Wall Street people, you head to the Hamptons or you head to the Jersey Shore for a good weekend of depending on where you live, either crab cake or lobster roll. There's kind of a dividing line there. In Connecticut, it's lobster roll, and down in Jersey, it's more crab cake. But everywhere is hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet this weekend. If you remember that from an old Chevy commercial. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. As the nation celebrates its 249th birthday tomorrow. And the fact that we got here after winning the Revolutionary War and winning the war against ourselves,
that's interesting.
We won and lost the war against ourselves. How about that? But we're still here as a country. We're very proud of it. I'm very proud of it as an American. I now spend, obviously, a lot of time in Canada, and I get to see America from an external point of view, and it's fucking better than ever. I got to tell you. Sorry for my YouTube censorship language there, but it's better than ever, this town. Great town of 350 million people, minus about 3 million in the past couple of months.
Government employees. All right, so check this out here, which I find really interesting. So you can see here from a government employee standpoint, currently right now, now I'm going to have to play this again. Right here, you can see that this is the government employees right here.
I can't see your... Oh, I got it now.
Okay. And this is today's clock, current, right now. Now let's check out
the Pedro Wayback Machine of your screenshots. Ladies and gentlemen, Pedro has been screenshotting this website for about 42 years.
Kind of close, almost 12 years here.
Yeah.
Where is it? I just had it. There you are, bud. Come on. I'm going to have to sit there and do this again one more time. Sorry about the issues here. So you can see here, which I thought really interesting. Okay. And so here is the current government employee number. You can see here that the current government employees is 24 million, same one, 447,000, same number, 542. So the difference between in November to this month is literally only 7 employees.
How is that even possible?
I don't know. Manufacturing jobs, primarily we actually went down. So you can see here manufacturing jobs in November, 12,750,503. Here we actually are 12,750, same number. The only difference is we're 1 job down. So something isn't correct with the numbers here. I need to go through, I need to email these guys and say, hey, are you keeping up on the job numbers, or are these actual real numbers? Medicare, a lot of people with the big beautiful business or big beautiful Trump bill are talking about how people are going to actually have to go back to work to qualify for more Medicare. A lot, even people on disability. There's a lot of people, I guess, going to come knocking on your door and say, hey, are you really disabled or not? We'll find out.
Well, I love those shows, Pedro. I love YouTube is filled with them. The people out on, oh, my back, oh, long-term disability. And then the secret camera has them playing volleyball and putting new flagstones in their yard and doing all kinds of heavy work, lifting 200 pounds. I love it. That's been one of the biggest scams, and why it's very hard to get long-term disability. In that. Oh, Pedro.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. I don't have the sound effects up, but it's that time.
Sing along.
And it's a new one.
Nice.
It's a new one, so I'm not going to be as good at reading this, but I'll...
You're going to do great.
Speaking of health, Pedro, we just brought that up, and the big, beautiful bill and what's going on with Medicare and all that. But anyway, hey, everyone, are you tired of paying outrageous prices for your medications while other countries pay a fraction of the cost? President Trump just signed an executive order to fix that problem. But why wait? BlockbusterHealth.com is already offering Americans these savings right now. How about that? We're talking up to 80% off the same exact medications you're already taking. Same brands, same quality, just fair prices. How about that? This is interesting. Whether it's Ozempic, insulin, or any other prescription, Blockbuster Health connects you directly with licensed pharmacies that offer international pricing. No middleman, no markup, just honest prices. Call 1-888-350-1353 or visit blockbusterhealth.com. Americans shouldn't have to choose between their health and their wallet. Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, blockbusterhealth.com. As always, there's a little QR code right here. Am I pointing the right way? Yes, I am. That you can use with your phone to check it out. I encourage all of our viewers to do that just to show the advertisers that our audience is interactive and wants to learn about the products. Trust me, it helps us. And also, in the comment section of where you're watching this, there is a link that you could also click. And also, in about 4 seconds after we end this, a link will appear in the body of wherever you're watching this as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, call 1-888-350-1353 or visit blockbusterhealth.com. Americans shouldn't have to choose between their health and their wallet. Check it out.
Wow, there you go. There you go. Another one, man. It looks like we're starting to climb up the ranks here, right?
Wait till you hear what this one paid. This is where the big bucks come in, Pedro.
I love these.
6
What's up,
cents.
Oh, wow, dude. We're moving on up, dude. You know, I mean, you just don't know. You don't know where something may lead.
For those of you watching on Rumble, we get paid to read these ads. They're just inserted in our stream here, in our creator panel here. And it's good. You know, you've heard, I've watched Dan Bongino just all of a sudden stop talking about what important stuff he had to talk about and start talking about survival kits and the Patriot lighting systems and things like that.
Stuff.
I know all of that stuff. You're like, ooh, send it to me.
I want to be able to say that.
and I was like, what? That just seems like he's a 1950s seen on TV guy or something like that. But anyway, I really enjoy reading the ads. Rumble, please keep sending them our way. And you viewers, if you enjoy it, please share with your friends because we literally get paid per eyeball. Right, Mikester. People need to chat, too, to get the interaction up.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Look, I think one of the things is, and I want to bring this up because obviously me and Tom have different views on kind of the economy, different views on, I mean, we are still trying to get to the middle point here where we talk about what we think, but the most important thing is listening and, you know, obviously my words are not the gospel nor are Tom's, but hearing the different views of, so yeah, I still disagree with that. Like we were just talking about the numbers there, right? Like I look at the charts, I look at where people are actually putting their money and where they're actually selling, where they're actually trying to not, you know, where they're trying to will and deal. You know, it's the old saying, I always say this like this, while Bitcoin was at the lows, right, we heard nothing but Warren Buffett scream horrible things about Bitcoin along with rest in peace Charlie Munger, and then all of a sudden the man goes out and buys a bank that literally is doing in Brazil, right, where they're trying to get everything set up with crypto and are buying this copious amount of Bitcoin. So it was one of those moments that I sat down and I was like, this man is so full of malarkey. It is ridiculous. And I thought to myself, the only reason why he can do it because there's no legislation on this. And so he can sit there and play. He can play that because there's no laws in crypto right now. So he can have a good time here. And so it was fun. Me and Tom were talking about this, and Tom had a different view, and I had a different view. And so it's one of those things that I think is important to hear. And a lot of times my views change as data comes. You know, you've seen multiple times the idea of the U.S. dollar basically losing its hegemon within the world's economy and within a central point and a medium of exchange for currency. Right, because I thought the BRICS nations were going to rise up and take over. But as we really started to see this movement happen, where like with the BRICS, all of a sudden Tom was like, "Look, do you understand the veracity of the U.S. dollar and where it goes, the largeness that you need to be able to just encompass it?" And as I started looking at that, I was like, "He's right. Like nobody's going to trust any other nation except for us unless they decide they're going to use Bitcoin." Right?
People vote with their money. That's the overriding thing of humans. It spans demographics, it spans races, it spans countries, nationalities, whatever. Ultimately, it's the international language of personal security, and people vote with their money, and they put it in economies. If they don't live in an OECD, OEDC or OECD?
OECD.
Developing OEDC countries. I had to get that info from Mrs. Striking. People are putting their monies in one of those countries. That's why you see Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Guatemala, all these countries continually suffer from low foreign reserves because people keep taking their money out of the country and sending it to the U.S. or to England or to Switzerland. Speaking of Switzerland, have you seen their currency, Pedro? The franc. I was wondering why they were at 0% interest rate, and Trump's like, you need to match Switzerland. Their currency is strengthened like a bazillion %, and they've had to run it down to 0, the interest rate, because of that. If you recall, a number of years ago, the Swiss franc was very strong compared to the other currencies of Europe and then of that of the European Union. And it made it difficult for Switzerland to operate in the European Union. And so they went through in kind of an intentional devaluation process in which they made the Swiss franc about equal to the euro. Over time, not like in a day. They're just like, let's let it naturally get down there and not support it being higher. And so the Swiss franc and euro were at par for a while. Now the Swiss franc's like, we strong, brother. So they had interest rates artificially low as a result of that. And our president put out his list saying, look at Switzerland, they're down to 0. It's where we should be. But you got to make sure you look at the bigger picture. And also, to one of our comments, Mikester, do you think the big, beautiful bill will help a bull run if it passes? I am going to say only from one perspective, and that is that they're going to need to print some money here when they pass this bill. And that money needs to go somewhere. And the printing of the money essentially goes first to the banks. And they got to put that money somewhere. And so that'll just be a boost for the economy. The NASDAQ will go up again, S&P 500 will go up again, and it'll probably drag Bitcoin up with it too. And make sure to follow Bitcoin dominance if you want your altcoins to go up. Bitcoin, if that money gets printed and put in the market, Bitcoin dominance comes down, then look out for the alts to run also.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see actually even how that plays out, because our institutions, I mean, we're watching right now BlackRock, every major banking institution trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin without spooking the market. And so it's really interesting to see how this interplay is going, right? They're going through and they're buying contracts, and they're even talking about, I'm not, I know that there have been mention of the forever contracts that they've liked that on crypto. And so the idea behind it is perpetual. Yeah, sorry, I call it forever contracts. Forgive me. The perpetual contracts, as they start to really progress into TradFi, it's going to be really interesting. is going to be really interesting to see if it is going to be adopted into crypto. And so watching the mechanisms within current CME contracts to see if are they going to adopt it? Because here's the thing, people getting in and getting out, they make money on the fee of getting in, getting out. But if I'm sitting there as a trader and I can go, if I can go over to this exchange and trade a perpetual contract, right? Well, then, I'm still going to day trade. I'm still going to trade getting back in and back and forth. But what's interesting is now, though, I can get in on a position. I can go long. So if it sells off major, I can get in at a really low level, much like a currency, right? And then from there, see it run for, 2-3 years. And so it's going to be really interesting to see if major institution, and the reason why I bring up the CME, because the CME is really the largest future exchange, and are they going to really kind of start to adopt this into their crypto products? And if so, man, it would be a phenomenal thing to see happen, because it allows you to get in on a long trade and then just let it run. And would banks rather do that, where they can actually add extreme leverage to that? And so it's just as good as buying the spot market versus the future gain on it, or the futures product on it. So we're going to see really what happens here. We don't know exactly, but I would think it'd make it advantageous for them, because it would add another product for somebody to trade. And I think we would see a lot of volume pick up in it with that. And so really interesting to see.
Huh.
Yeah. And speaking of the US dollar earlier, let me ask you a quick question, Tom. So what do people have to do? We were just talking about the US dollar and the hegemon that is used in traditional finance, that is used for trade going back and forth, whether that is you're buying a European bond, or whether you're trying to sell bushels of corn or hay, right, across nation states. What is the medium of exchange do they typically use? I mean, do they use gold? Do they use silver?
They use US dollars, my friend. And the reason for that is because every financial institution of the world that's not on a sanctions list or something like that has access to just about as many US dollars as they need. And the reason is that ultimately all of the banks in the world have an account with the Fed. Now, obviously, the Bank of Kyrgyzstan might not have an account with the Fed, but its correspondent bank, Chase Bank or JP Morgan, wherever they use as a correspondent bank in the U.S., obviously does have access to the Fed window. So the Bank of Kyrgyzstan goes to their correspondent bank and says, "Hey, we got to finance this oil deal for the Kyrgyzstan National Oil Company. We only got 300 million credit line here. We need 500 million." And the correspondent bank goes, "Okay, sounds good to us. Oil, great. We can sell oil if you don't pay." So everyone has as much access to they want to U.S. dollars at every financial institution of the world. You could be in Belarus and say, I need to open a letter of credit in U.S. dollars in favor of a company in the United States. And the Belarusian banks, boom, no problem. They have the money. Now, can you go in Kyrgyzstan? I'm just making up the term. It was an Austin Powers term, I think, Kyrgyzstan. But say you're let's use a real country. Let's use Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is going to sell some oil to the Indians, and the Indians say, "All right, we don't want to deal in dollars. We want to buy it in rupees." Kazakhstan says, "Good. Let's trade our local currencies." And so Kazakhstan doesn't have $300 million in rupees, so they go to the Forex and they buy $300 million of rupees. The traders say, "Oh, Kazakhstan just bought 300 million rupees. That means wherever those went is going to be dumping them. Let's keep an eye out for the Kazakhstani dollars or whatever they have." And so what happens is now the Forex traders come in and start front-running trades, sucking the liquidity out of the market for these smaller currencies. And Kazakhstan and India aren't able to have really a known valuation of their trade of $300 million worth of oil, because it's going to vary by a couple of $1 million, or many could be $20 to $40 million if the Kazakhstani currency can't support the buying and selling of that many rupees, or the other way around. And so they rely on the largest currency out there that, individual traders, if every country in the world wanted to gang up on the dollar, that would be a problem. But that they would lose their own, investments as well. But so they go to the US dollar, and they can trade in billions of dollars worth of oil, and Forex traders could try to front run those trades all day, but the value of the dollar is so vast that individual traders or hedge funds and things like that can't devalue, can't suck that money out of it to really affect the currency. Obviously, the markets well. There's plenty of money coming in and out of the dollar, and it does vary here and there. But not much. Not really that much. It doesn't vary by 40, 50% because a massive fleet of oil tankers full of oil just left the country and it drained our foreign reserves. That's a long way of explaining that because everyone has access to US dollars, they trade in it. And everyone trusts it. All the risk managers say, you have US dollar, fine. And how did that happen, Pedro? We printed up enough money to get it around the world everywhere so everyone has access to it. And then we pay for this military to support the security of our country and our allies to make sure all of this works well.
It's interesting when I think about, now I'm going to add, and I want you to just kind of even elucidate on this idea. When in relationship, I want you to talk about this and your ideas, because this is going to add to what my idea about the US dollar, right? If US and world trade slows down, what happens to the dollar? And if US trade increases, what happens to the dollar?
Oh, it's a thought experiment here that I haven't thought about in a while. So if if more dollars are being used in international trade, then, well, it kind of depends. Which way is the trade going? Is it coming to the U.S.? Is it going to the U.S.? I don't think I'm going to give you an off the cuff proper answer here with that question.
Well, even if it's coming or going, what has to happen for a medium of exchange? Even if it's between other countries.
Yeah.
All right. So what has to happen for the world really to...
let me answer it. It would make sense to just answer off the top of my head that if more countries wanted to use the dollar and more trade, then it would get stronger. They'd be buying more dollars in order to do that, thus pushing the price up, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that and why? And as trade really starts to pick up again with America, what does that look like?
Well, let's see. I'm going to speak extemporaneously, as they say. If more countries want to use the U.S. dollar, they say, all right, the U.S. economy is on fire. They're manufacturing more things that we want to buy. They're going to buy, and they say, we want to buy those. They go to their banks and say, hey, I've got, a couple of 100 million Kazakhstani Kriplakis, and I need U.S. dollars. That bank says, okay, we don't have enough dollars. We need to go... they either go buy them because they have other foreign currencies, or they go through their correspondent banks to the Fed and say, we need some cheap U.S. dollars from the Fed window. They can go in lots of places for money. I'm just using those two as examples. And so that requires... let's see, that would require the Fed then to... I'm getting confused here. But it required, let me just say, there would be more demand out there than there would be dollars. And so they would have to buy dollars. The price of dollars would go up. It would affect the bond market. Bond prices would change. Yields would change. I'd obviously have to think about that, in which direction bonds prices versus yields would go.
Well, I think you add on to an important part, and I think it's really important to get, is that as people start to really kind of get back to trade and what's going to happen, we're going to see an increase typically in bonds, and we should see an increase typically in US dollars. And so there's going to be a play here that's going to correlate. Now, are we going to see it get back up to 109? I don't think so. because those were under different circumstances and what we see. But ultimately, it's going to be an area that it's going to be a play that we can take advantage of in the future here as the market starts to move in conjunction with the next play. And so as yields go down, okay, and if we start to see things pick up, and if they do, right, or if they stay stagnant, and when the world in the world of Trump, as he starts to make deals with other countries, i.e. Vietnam, which, dude, I don't know who was doing the whole entire negotiation, but man, they basically gave up the ghost in relationship to that deal. I mean, like, America came out good with that, and they're okay with it. I mean, 20% they're paying.
Well, the guys in Vietnam said we'll make any deal. We can still make all this shit cheaper than you can do it in the U.S. Even with, they probably could put 200% tariffs on. Yeah, and they're like, 20% is good. We want to make that massive market happy. We'll take 20%. They make those, all the Crocs that all this whole young generation of people are wearing now. Like half the world is now wearing Crocs. They're made in 2 factories in Vietnam. And they make them for about 0.00001 cent each. Right. You know, it's the biggest injection molding thing you've ever seen in your life. And the Crocs wear out in like 2 months, and they get another pair. Their manufacturing business is going over so well. For them to have a known rate of 20% across the board or whatever it is, it makes their businesses be able to be planned better. And when you can plan in business, then you can succeed in business. Right.
Yeah. And on the back end, as we talk about that, as we start to move forward in this avenue of Trump deal making, right? And it's going to be really interesting to see, are other presidents moving forward going to dismantle the way he's dismantled a lot of the other things? We saw Biden keep the China tariffs there, but will if other Democrat presidents, you know, if they're not super woke, I don't think I think they'll keep it, but it just depends. I mean, I feel like the ultra woke hurts themselves despite, right? Like, they'll shoot themselves in the foot just to make sure to shoot the other guy, you know, who.
But they'll put you all in concentration camps and shoot you first, though. But then they'll shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, the reason why I bring that up is simply, if we keep moving forward in the Trumpian deal-making avenue, this is going to be really interesting because people are going to have to buy dollars again. We're going to see an increase in the USD. We should see an increase in bonds. Again, if we see an increase in bonds, our interest rates going to keep continuing higher. If the US dollar, if we start seeing short-term yields outpace, or short-term bonds outpace interest rate-wise the level of longer-term interest rates. So, for example, when I talk about that, and if you hear a lot of the people keeping this simple. So when we see a 2-year yield at 388 or 375%, okay, which is the base level, and then you see a 10-year, okay, which is a yield at $4. You can see here's the yield, right, which is $4.34, or not cents, percent. So this we'll say 425, 450 area, when that 2-year starts to creep up and get above that 4-year, which we just saw during the Biden administration, where short-term yields were higher than the long-term yields, which shows that there's not a lot of confidence in the U.S. economy. So people don't want to hold their money in the U.S. economy for a long time. Now, obviously, we saw this switch here and the de-escalation of it, of a potential like crash in the world. And we saw this kind of happen here. We were talking about that. So this is one of the things that if we start to see people buy more UST or more USD, soon to be USDT as well, right? But as that happens, are we going to see people want to put their money into short-term or long-term yields? or bonds. And so it's one of those things we need to be paying attention, because then that shows the viability of America's economy with the rest of the world having confidence in us. And so it's going to be really interesting. So that this is a play that we're going to be looking at. If we start to see the yield, we start to see the spread here widen, where we see the longer term yields increase substantially, then we could actually take that trade. They're fairly close. And it does look like, and if you look at this, they're kind of, the smaller yields are starting to increase more here. If you go and you look at the spread. And so there are people who've taken that trade and they're making a lot of money, i.e. George Gammon has talked about this. I didn't want to talk about it too soon. I've hinted at it now for a while, but now that we're watching countries come into America and start to make trade deals, it's a trade that we can actually take advantage, and it should be fairly safe. And so that's what I'm looking to do. We'll see what happens, but one of those things that it's going to be kind of fun to watch and to see as we move forward. We know that China has already talked about going through and having a trade deal with us. I think they're finishing up the details here. Also, we're watching Canada, right? Like
Capitulate.
Capitulate, which was an obstinate "F-you" to your face, America, as they removed our bourbon off the shelves, which I could tell a lot of Canadians were quite saddened by. But apart from that, this idea is that they are starting to relax on their stance, and so it's going to be really interesting to see the pickup and where they're going to hold their U.S. dollars. Are they going to try to get the long yield, or are they going to try to get the short-term yield because they don't trust us? Real interesting. Really interesting.
Well, one of the things on that topic, one of the things I was reading up on is a lot of, on the not trusting us part, is that a lot of the international money that's invested in the tech market, they want to keep their exposure to the tech sector, the top 7 and all those guys, because even though they're really strong, they're still going to grow, but just not as the massive growth rate that they've had. So a lot of international funds want exposure to that, but that exposes them to the dollar and the changes in that, which they are perceiving as negative for them at this time. So there's been a lot of hedging of local currencies on the U.S. dollar in order to keep their exposure to the tech. You know, they're going to potentially gain, 20% in the tech sectors, and they're going to hedge that in case something that Trump does with the tariffs. Let me rephrase that. As the media has been telling them that the tariffs would be bad for everything, and that people would flee from the dollar because of it. So they're hedging against it. Turns out, Pedro, as we spoke earlier, perhaps the dollar is going to be getting stronger here.
It's going to be really interesting. So one of the ways we're going to be looking to take this trade is we want to see if the U.S. dollar is just to pick up. Again, this is what I'm looking to do myself. I want to see it get above that daily 8, okay, with some pretty good demand wicks, right? We talked about this area here acting as, I thought during this time period, the first 6 months to a year, which we're kind of still in, this would have been down in this level, right? We talked about this, but we came down into this area, bounced back up at that 50, and now we're back at this level here. So we're kind of going into this period. This is going to be we talked about it sitting around that $99, $100 area here. And so the next place that I'm expecting now is to see this US dollar over the next year, 6 months here, play within this area here for now. And we're going to wait and see. We want to see it get above that 8 period moving average, which is right here. It's going to be the purple line. And we want to see it really put in a lot of demand wicks. Those are the guys over on LinkedIn. You really don't watch me much, but when I call it demand wicks or buyer wicks, those are the wicks at the bottom. And those are showing on a daily and weekly level. These are institutional buy areas where they go in and they put in $100 billion, $1 trillion worth of capital in that area. And so we've talked about these lower areas being a good place to be able to take advantage of that. And so on a daily chart, I'll know we're going to most likely start to go up, and we're going to go over this here. That's just like we went over the Trumpian trades, just like we went over gold, we went over crude oil, we went over Bitcoin, we went over Ethereum here. We've gone over multiple areas where you can go back and look at a lot of our shows over on Rumble, where I make it very clear this is, and on a daily basis we go over those trades, showing everything exactly. And again, this is all for free. This is stuff that you guys can sit there and look. We're not charging you. I just was tired of bad traders giving bad information, so I decided to do this, and I'm at free of charge for everybody. And that's where I want you guys to go look and see if we start to put the demand wicks, that is the bottom wick right here, big demand wick down, and we're seeing them, and it stays within this level here for the next 6 months, probably 6 months. Then when we see that, when we start to see that, this is where we're looking to gauge how to take advantage of this trade. And we want to see it above that 8. We want to see the 50, right? Kind of just price going in between a lot of these moving averages. And then from there, once we see that, we're looking at that 8 period on the weekly chart. I expect this then to get above it and push up. And so I would expect to see at least a 101 to a 104, a half, I call it half moon retracement, but it would just be a retracement back up to the 50 period moving average. And then from there, we'll see, we reassess and see what's going on. But we're talking, it's a $4 move. Back in November, we caught a $9 move from the peak here all the way down to, or not the peak, but the lower high here, all the way down to our lows here. And so now I'm looking just to see we're going to reassess this now. We should be out of that trade and looking to get into the next trade. And there's a few of these trades we can take. We could take the yield trades, which is going to be the spread, or we could actually take just one, see what's happening there. 2, we could take the bond trades, where you could take either the spread, or you take the a single bond. And typically if you're going to do that, you're going to take a 10-year bond to see what correlates with that, to see if it starts to pick up. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here as we start to move forward, especially, and this is all in relationship to what we're seeing with a lot of these movements within the trade wars here within the Trump administration. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
Well, I heard I was watching some mainstream financial news here today. Earlier.
Actually, let me jump one more. I forgot to mention this because I just looked at my notes and typed. I hit the wrong. So the next thing is, this is if people decide to really go in with the dollar, which I think they will. But I think there's also going to be some play now within BTC acting as a also interplay between the two within countries. If they don't like America and they don't want to deal within the American hegemon, then I would expect to see them saying, let's say you have Iran.
Say it like an American.
Iranian. If you have an Iranian business,
and then you also people.
Yes. And let's say, they don't want to necessarily do business because they're upset with us, boom. And then let's say you also have another business, let's say Russia, right? They're going to probably pick Bitcoin to be that medium of exchange. And a few of the other un-Western, that's the best way of putting it, cultures may simply just say, look, we're going to start messing with Bitcoin. And we've already seen a lot of the pro-capitalists, but more Eastern thought, like not U.S. Emirates, the Emirates, the
United Arab Emirates.
Why is my brain? I know, United Arab Emirates. I knew I messed it up. So my brain was just like United Arab Emirates.
Sorry, Sheikh Mohammed. I won't goof that up again.
Yeah, it was my bad. Assalamu alaikum, brother. God bless, whatever. All right. So, but what I'm saying though is this idea is this real simple, is that they may simply want to stick primarily with, probably a mixed basket of much more of crypto and or, USD instead of just all USD. It's going to be really interesting to see. And potentially, last night as I was journaling in a lot of this stuff, I sat there and I said, potentially the buy-in of BTC currently right now, even at these lower levels, are just maybe just trying to hedge in case if they need to have US, or not US, but if they need to have BTC as an exchange of value with another country. So
right.
Really interesting.
You know what? I'd like to expand on that. In the switch, we've seen Michael Saylor here talk about how eventually the base settlement layer won't be gold, won't be U.S. dollars. It'll be Bitcoin. At least that's his hope.
Yep.
You know, that's what he's predicting.
Yeah.
If not, it's the biggest shill that you've ever encountered ever.
All in.
Right. All in. $60 billion shill. You know, he's it. But the point is that ultimately, for people to really put a lot of money into Bitcoin, I mean serious money, to make it to unseat the dollar or to take a massive chunk of its business away, someone has to insure those transactions. Like insure, not ensure, but insure it. Because all this international business is insured. If something goes wrong, the lawyers know who to sue for every transaction. Now, a lot of times it's long-standing relationships with banks. I have a friend whose only job is to put together these credit agreements between banks and financial institutions, and all of them can contain what if things go wrong sections. And the Bitcoin world won't get to that level until all those people, those risk managers, insurance companies, say, all right, we will insure those transactions and pay out in Bitcoin, value it in Bitcoin, and pay it out in Bitcoin. And we have the reserves in Bitcoin to do that. Because if they just say, oh yeah, we'll pay you out in Bitcoin, we're just going to take dollars and buy some, then Bitcoin's not the settlement layer. Then dollars are the settlement layer. So a huge shift needs to happen. And that was the same arguments I used against BRICS. I was thinking about what's different between the BRICS currency and Bitcoin. Well, not much. You know, ultimately not much. It's new. The BRICS one doesn't exist, but potential one. And it would require to unseat or to take a large chunk away. It would take in a massive amount. 70 years it's been for the U.S. When was that agreement made for the euro dollar or the petrodollars? In the 50s?
Like in the 1970s. It was back before then, but it would have been in the 70s when we went off of really
right. And all those business people, not just in the U.S., in the world, have been have been trained in risk management and in credit agreements and in legal principles and insurance in dollars. And for Bitcoin to break that out, but what does Bitcoin have that BRICS doesn't? Bitcoin has champions saying this works, it's good, it's proven. BRICS doesn't. BRICS has a bunch of dictators, despots, and misfits, dimwits, and halfwits potentially running it, and some other good guys. So I won't say who is who, so you all can feel like you're the good guy. But Bitcoin has the champions of the financial, I'll call it the alternative financial industry, pushing it, championing it, and investing in creating new products. That is different. So that could nibble. And Pedro, what is a nibble amount of something that's tremendous?
Compound interest.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of value.
Yes.
It's a lot of value.
Yes.
So that's what Bitcoin has over BRICS. Essentially, it's new, it's a value, it wants to substitute the dollar. One, despots, dictators, dimwits, halfwits, and nimwits. And the other, we got Michael Saylor, we got Donald Trump, and President Milei, El Salvador, all these other people pushing them.
Do you think he actually fully understands that if people really start to adopt Bitcoin as that settlement layer, that it is potentially taking the value of the dollar and almost upseeding America or deseeding America from the hegemon level much quicker?
Depends how the stable coin market shakes out. If the stable coins start being backed with Bitcoin, if you see stable coins linked to Bitcoin, which essentially is Bitcoin, but or at least they're one-to-one funds, but a lot of it's backed by Bitcoin, then I can see some of that being a problem, because as stable coins grow, the value of Bitcoin will grow. But I don't think, I talk these things through. When I'm reading things, I think about it, and then talking through them with you helps me flesh it out. And it actually just makes me think that the original topic of the show here, that let me bring it up here. Is the dollar just going to get stronger? And I think it is, Pedro. And I think it is for the reasons that you've mentioned, and a couple of other ones too. And I don't think Bitcoin will break that big chunk off of it that people say they do, for potentially many years. And on that note, if you're the risk manager, you know how the system works all the way back to the Fed for a U.S. dollar. Do you know how Bitcoin works? And what happens if we see that clickbait all the time? Quantum computers break Bitcoin. Chinese invented computer that can break RSA.
Not so much anymore now. Yeah.
You don't see them as much, but you still see those things. Yeah. And if I'm a risk manager, I'm thinking, all right, I'll put $10 million into this transaction and guarantee it. Because if I lose $10 million, that's not much of my $3 billion portfolio.
It's a blink of an eye. It's
right.
A day.
But if they got a $10 billion portfolio, are they going to put $5 billion of it in something that, hey, a 12-year-old may invent a computer that breaks Bitcoin? Obviously that I'm speaking
not
very
so
generally.
Yeah.
But it's a risk. It's a risk they can't quantify.
Let me interrupt with that real quick, because the advancements that we're seeing with quantum tunneling, and especially when it comes to
quantum.
Dog, bro, you just
Pedro
open up something.
Bitcoin's guy got to get along on Bitcoin here. Pedro put the hair back and sat closer to the camera. Chuck Jansen, where are you today?
Where is Chucky, bro? I miss Chucky, dude. But the reason why I say this is just the fact now that we have Spin, and Spin is literally helping. It's a new invention that basically stops quantum entanglement, it stops quantum tunneling that's been happening. And so what's interesting, along with quantum entanglement, we can now transfer information instantaneously from here to here over small periods of time. Almost, we're talking teleport. Why is that so hard for me to say?
Here, I put you on solo screen there so you could have your moment of getting it out what you wanted to talk about.
I just messed it up. Yeah. I messed it up. Teleportation. What is this? Not teleportation. It's
teleportation.
Teleportation. Holy moly. All right. So because of the fact that we've actually been able to we can move information from this cork to this cork, which is dope. All right. It goes from here to here. There is no little, we put it here, it goes there. So if one is, it's just, there's now, whenever there was one problem, there's also a solve. Just like if you go out foraging in nature, right? If you eat a poisonous, most likely, you have a 90% chance that the next plant over is going to be your antidote, right? So in the same way, when they were talking about how quantum computers can sit there and come out and just break every encrypted system, well, not so much now, because now that we've been able to really solve some of the issues in relationship to quantum computing, it's now opened up where we can literally just transfer through teleportation information from here to here just through light by quantum dude, whatever, dude. Just basically my brain is just farting here. But it is. That should be a blooper, bro. That should be a blooper. That would be great.
My brain is just farting.
Boop
beep boop.
Quantum.
Hello, nice people with the white ambulance and the suits that you can't get out of. Yes, I got a candidate for you. He's in Connecticut. Yeah. Go get him. Take him to the big castle.
Let's go right here. Boom. Big castle in the sky.
But I'm gonna cut you off there, Pedro, and say,
please cut me off.
And say that those types of things that are new and innovative are what risk managers worry about. In risk manager, I say this all the time, they run the world because trade doesn't happen unless the risk manager signs off on it. And he looks at, what does he look at? He looks at, is there enough funding? Is there insurance? What happens if the tanker crashes? What happens if the cargo aircraft goes down? What all these things he thinks about, and he checks the box for all. I'm covered, ass is covered, ass is covered, ass is covered, ass is covered. And then they sign the letter of credit, or they do what they need to do to extend the funds. And the whole business of quantum computing or some Fort Meade supercomputer or something like that, rewriting the Bitcoin 51% rule or whatever it is, so that all of a sudden within 20 minutes someone could drain bazillion dollars out. As a risk manager, I'd worry about that. So would it make me worry about doing a $1 or $2 million trade for some stuff? No. Maybe $100 million? No. But would it be, all of Saudi Arabia's oil? That risk manager is going to say, no. We want JP Morgan to answer for that if something goes wrong.
Well, here's the thing. If quantum, the whole entire point behind this is like that fear of buying Bitcoin and then somebody creating quantum computers that will break all encrypted protocols, which is plausible. I'm not saying it's not, but if that is truly true, then it would actually be better for you to be sitting in a wallet than an actual banking system, because your banking system is flawed by humans, whereas you got to sit there and guess every seed phrase and password for every single wallet out there, right? And that's going to be extremely hard. And so, I'm not saying that a quantum computer can't do it, but because quantum entanglement as well as quantum teleportation, it's literally eliminated that chance of that actually happening. There you go. Holy crap. There it comes in my mind. I don't even understand why. There it went. It was so simple to say there, but literally 2 minutes, it was just like, it just wasn't there. It was Spartan. All right, go ahead. So it makes it really hard, because that idea behind that is if it's able to do that, there is no safe space. It's like you're sitting there saying, oh no, it's almost like this. You're saying, oh no, we're afraid that Russia is going to come and bomb us and all this stuff. And it's like, bro, does that even matter? Because there's literally a meteor coming the size of our world about to destroy us. Like that. This is what we're fighting over. I'm saying if it happens, it's like literally a meteor coming down, versus people think it's like Russia thinking it's going to bomb us. Like, no. So I'm saying that's actually being null and void because of quantum teleportation along with quantum entanglement. It's a beautiful thing. So they've been able to safeguard a lot of other things in relationship to that. That's all I'm saying. I just made that even more complicated. How do I even do that? Dude.
As the comment I put up here on the screen, Pedro, says, just entertain them, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you guys know, I use this a lot. Many of you remember like the 1965 and 66 Mustangs, even the early Corvettes, things like that.
Best.
Big engines, really skinny tires. And those things had so much power, for their back in the day. But they had these little skinny tires. So when you hit the gas, tires just go, they just spin. They couldn't get the power to traction ratio was terrible. That when Pedro gets that power going in that big brain of his, the traction to get it into your ears suffers. And you can see them. The blooper reel is fabulous. But
start making up words.
But the concepts, just like the engine in an early Corvette that's really strong, it lasts throughout the years. His concepts are right. So pay attention to him when he's trying to tell you something on these things. And when you see him fumbling with something, write it down. Say, this is going to be important on a little bit.
It really is. How many times have I said to them, like, look, this is, and I'm like, how do I make this simple? And then we go back 6 months. You're like, that's what I was talking about.
Here's a good one. We had a discussion. It was like October 3rd, 2023, Pedro. And you were trying to tell people that all the market indicators are telling something big was going to happen. And you're trying to explain it, and I was at one point lost. I was like, you're talking about this and that, and something's happening, and you're like, it's a feeling, but I'm a trader, so I need to look at data, not feelings, and you were blah, 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 and you couldn't really express what you wanted to say, and only like 4 days later, Hamas kicked off the Israeli-Hamas war. And it was something else. But it was one of those things. Should have wrote that down.
Yeah. So that's probably been the bane of my life. Like, just sitting there knowing we're headed towards the bridge. I love the people I'm in the car with. I'm not driving, but I'm like, guys, this is what's happening. Everybody's got the music up. Everything is having a blast. Everybody's having a good old time. I'm like, we're headed towards the bridge. And I'm using the analogy of Tom Bailu, right? So do I just sit there and slam on the brakes and go, hey, but if we do that, we're going to spin out. So do we spin out and die there? Or do we spin out with a glorious rush? Go figure. What do you want? Pick your poison. So
pick your poison, ladies.
Dude,
and
you're
gentlemen.
just getting, bro. I'm getting bigger right there, man. You just made me.
The other day I made a new layout that
this.
incorporates the pricing, and while you were talking, I was putting it together on this computer here because for some reason it didn't save. And now I need to make me bigger.
That is kind of cool though that we can play that. And then can we remove me and have me just speak about the? Oh, that is just kind of cool.
Well, that didn't
so
work
hey
out.
Tom, what's up? So can I play in your ear there? All right, guys. Couple news sources we want to speak about it as well today. So you want to bring up some of your guys here real quick?
You know what, Pedro? I was listening to a really impressive person speak, and the Harvard has been getting.
Besides your wife?
Very impressive person, second only to my wife.
There you go. Smart man right there. Married man. Married man. Are you paying attention here? He's
Yes,
on his
dear.
third one here.
Right. Yes, dear.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump has a number of committees and policy-making bodies and all this type of stuff, and one of them is the White House Economic Policy Committee, and it has been a central focus of how Donald Trump has been getting information about what to do with the economy. And, I'm betting Donald Trump knew what he wanted to do, but he found some like-minded people to set this up. But this gentleman by the name of Stephen Moran, Harvard PhD in economics, learned from the best guys there. Regardless of the woke shit that's going on at Harvard, their economics department is top-notch. And he talked about a couple of things that they're trying to accomplish, and spoke about the strength of the economy. It was really funny because he clearly knew that rates were not going to come down, but Mr. Trump wants them to come down. So he wasn't going to say, "Oh, the rates are fine now," but he danced around it. But he brought up some other interesting concepts, and he said, "Look, we had four goals that of not just our committee, but a number of influential people in the administration that they pitched to Trump to right the ship, as they say." And I'm going to run through them quickly. One of them was to lower taxes. Taxing income is such a drain on the economy. We all know that. We all know that taxing your income is it just keeps everything down by more than what's taxed. And so we say
20%. 20% is the average tax that most people pay, 20 to 23%, right? We're talking because the vast majority of people don't really pay taxes. And in relationship to that, you also have sales tax and a lot of other taxes.
Right. Taxes
Money
drain
is like
out of the
fire.
economy. So he said, we want to lower taxes. And so the big, beautiful bill has...
But explain that. You can't explain that because...
hold on, I got to go. I got four things to go through here quickly.
I just want to add, I'm a spread point. Money is like fire. The more fuel you give it, the bigger it gets. It's not like a cake where you can partition out. I'm just saying it like that.
I got you.
And when it gets... All right, go ahead.
So one of the goals of the Trump administration is to lower taxes. And to be honest, they're not lowering the taxes. The previous Trump administration's tax cuts are expiring now, and they want to continue them. And then there's some other things that do lower taxes, but one party's trying to say this one. This is not a political discussion. This is steps and goals. And so they are on track to lower the taxes, and there might be a vote on it today to keep those lower tax rates in effect. The second one was to increase revenues by using tariffs. And that's working also. Our tariff income is up tremendous amounts. Now, is it enough? Who knows? People will argue that forever. Even when it's in arrears and they can analyze it 10 years ago, one party will say it wasn't enough, it was terrible. The other party will say it was great, we all got rich. So they're on the edge of accomplishing it. They've implemented it. They're on the edge of making that the income coming up from tariffs, as people want to partake in the U.S. economy, a major source of income, and it may work. So that's 2 of the 4. The third one is that Trump wanted a return on an investment for our military. Now you think about that. Our military is a giant sinkhole. You know what an aircraft carrier strike force group costs to run? It's like $12 billion a year. Never mind the $12 billion to build the damn thing, and all the submarines and the thing. It's the most amazing amount of money you've seen ever, and he wants people to pay for that. All the countries that pay for that we protect, and you know what? Other countries are saying yes. Apparently, other countries have agreed, either via direct payments or through certain types of trade deals, to buy more U.S. weapons, to pay for the military bases we put in their countries, that type of stuff. We have 127 military bases, like in the Middle East. I just made that number up. There's a lot. I don't know how many there is, but that costs us a lot of money. He wants other countries to pay for that. And so a lot of those countries said, all right, we'll start paying for that to take that burden off you. So he accomplished that. And now here's the last one. This one's really interesting. I thought it would pique your interest a lot on the issue of bonds. The fourth item was central banks around the world. Central banks around the world hold a lot of U.S. treasuries, most of them short term. They buy them, they sell them, they buy them, they sell them, they mature, they get their money, blah, 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 blah. These guys want all of these central banks to convert those short-term bonds to long-term, meaning I don't mean 10-year or 30-year. I'm talking 100-year bonds. Because it would...
A 100-year bond? Is there? I don't even know if there is. Is there?
They could make one in 5 seconds. But the point is they want a lower cost of borrowing for the U.S. And a longer-term bond would allow that. It would bring stability, obviously, for a 100-year bond. Is there a lot more risk in a 100-year bond? Of course. Or political risk, I should say. Not, who knows what 100 years from now what the country will look like and the government will look like, or the economy. So there's going to be pushback from the central banks around the world for getting into 100-year bonds. Because if we lower our cost of borrowing, that advances the big, beautiful bill's goals of reducing the cost of running the government.
Wow.
And so there's that fourth thing. You're going to see a push for the U.S., and they're going to do some arm twisting. We're going to do, coercion. You might see that wrapped up into the trade deal saying, okay, you guys can have the 5% trade deal, but you got to take 100-year bonds, switch out those 5-year bonds
so check this out.
Or 1-month bonds for 100-year bonds. And countries may go for it.
And the swingboard, and I want you to keep going here, but let me point in. Yes, so this is in regards to ChatGPT, Copilot. Yes, I asked, is there a 100-year bond currently? And it said, yes, there is. The U.S. Treasury doesn't issue 100-year bonds, but the 100-year high-quality market, HQM, corporate bond spot rate is actively traded by the U.S. Department of the Treasury. As of May 2025, the yield on the hypothetical 100-year corporate bond is 6.42%, which is pretty darn good. I mean, for a 100-year bond, 6%, bro. That's pretty good. You're above inflation, at least by 2. You got a 2x above inflation.
Bro.
So you're definitely. Oh, did I say bro? I meant.
You did, no, but I was referring to it as this is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can go on this, we can go into, but I want you to keep going on this. It is rated at a AAA to an A, while actually 100-year bonds are rated. Some corporate like Disney and Coca-Cola and countries like Austria and Mexico have issued them in the past. So, but typically they range between 10 or 1 month, or actually I think it's 2 years to 30 years, which is typically the rate in which we go over on a weekly basis. But that's interesting. I didn't even know about that.
And that's the White House's official economic policy group chairman talking about that. Very impressive dude. I'm going to try and get him on the show.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll have our contacts contact him. And
I'll have our communications department reach out to the White House and see if they can make him available for us for a couple hours.
Smart idea. I love it. Yeah. I know he's a busy guy, but we got so much. We got such big pool here. We got Elon Musk coming on next week, and we got Jeff Bezos. Then we're gonna have a little tit for tat with these guys. We're joking around, but speaking to existence,
AI.
what we want, or AI. But you never know. I mean, dude, we get big enough, man. You never know. 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it's like, hey, you need to call up.
We're gonna have President's Week. All the ex-presidents and current president of the United States will be on the show talking about their time in office.
Anyways, we're just being goofballs, but you never know, man. You never know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so we got 13 people here. Yes, that's 13 million people watching. Not single or double digits of 13, but it could be the later of that conversation there I just said. Entertainment, that's what you get here today. Yes. Do not forget. All righty then. We're coming up to the end of the show here.
America, baby Draco. Jesus, thanks for watching us today.
Oh,
if you just tuned in, we've had a long discussion about the strength of the dollar and Bitcoin versus the dollar and economic indicators. Almost kind of an extended Technical Tuesday edition, but it was a good show. I've got some time here, Pedro. If you've got some more concepts here.
I just want to kind of go over just the daily news. I think that's been kind of cool, just going over headlines, running through them, and just either making fun of them or actually talking about it. Some may be some may be ooh, and some may be like But either way, we're going to have some fun with this, all right? So as of July 2nd, we had BlackRock Bitcoin ETF drives more revenue than is in the S&P 500 fund, which blew me away. Like literally in their fund. Let me read that again. BlackRock's, again, I'm just pulling this off of Watcher Guru. BlackRock Bitcoin ETF drives more revenue than its S&P 500 fund, which kind of blows me away. Congress Thomas Massey says he has enough votes to block President Trump's one big beautiful bill in the White House. If that happens, I think we're going to see Elon Musk be a South African again. I really do. Like Trump, I don't think he's joking around. I mean, after the bomb drop and everything, everybody's kind of like, okay, he ain't effing around here. He's having fun here, but he's not. So I don't think that, and he's again kind of doubled down again a little about that. So I thought that was really interesting with Massey saying that. Go ahead. What were you gonna
Could
say?
you imagine just Elon? He gave up on California. Imagine him giving up on the U.S. Just saying, "Fuck it,"
God,
and then just all he has to do is move that whole space camp thing that he's built about 100 yards. He's in the Mexican border.
Oh, bro.
He's right on the. He's just saying, "All right, let's just move that shit to Mexico," and
Yeah. Like it would actually be sad. Also, I love his new design for movable homes. It's all self-sustaining. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, he lives in one at South Padre.
SpaceX.
Whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, SpaceX area. Yeah, and he has. I mean, he's literally taken those all over the world, and it's what's so interesting. It's only cost about $8,000, maybe after taxes $10,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I could buy one here in America, put it literally outside where I live, and be safer in that than in my house. I mean, they've literally tested it for 120 degrees negative and 120 degrees positive. So I just think that was so interesting. Why is there a blue thing crossed it?
I'm just working on this layout while you're talking.
Oh, okay. So I just thought that was really interesting. Man, like, listen, I know the man is on the spectrum, and I know he's very strong-willed, okay? So I get this. And he's a genius. absolute genius. But man, look, for the sake of humanity, bro, please, for the love of God, play the game here. Yes, like remember your original purpose that you want to make the world, humanity, a what? A
multiplanetary species.
Thank you, multiplanetary species. So please remember your ultimate goal here. I think it's so awesome for you to really get. Oh, bro, I can totally now poke you in the air. Boop. Nope. Dang it.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. All right. So, all right, here we go. I also want to add in Ethereum is picking up here. We're watching it get going. We talked about Ethereum finding support around these levels here and then picking back up. We were hoping that we were going to come down to the 1580, but not so much. But we'll see what happens here. We talked about this area here, the 100 period being a buy-in area. So there you go. Also, President Trump says Fed Chair Jerome Powell should resign immediately. Shocking. United States rescinds exports restrictions on chip software to China, CNBC reports. There we go. U.S. unemployment. Oh, we already talked about that. U.S. economy added 147,000 jobs in June, higher than expected. U.S. Director of Digital Assets says, we want to as much Bitcoin as we can, possibly accumulate. Senator Lumen introduces bill to exempt taxes on crypto transactions under $300. That would be so awesome.
But
because
there's $300, but that means if you buy and sell $500 with a tether, you still have to report that as a property transaction, and you got to report that you got to go back and figure out, did you get 99.99%? It's still a disaster.
Talking about the gwei.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what you're saying.
How much did you ultimately get? Was there a capital gain in it? Someone converts $10,000 from USDC to USDT. There's a variation. If you're converting currency, they don't care about it. It's currency. But it's still a disaster. $300, whatever. You can see the people at FinCEN going, oh my God, and the people at IRS going, oh my God, the world's going to end.
Yeah. The other part I thought was really interesting is one of the, I forget the guy's name, the guy who basically runs Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Basically, he was appointed by Trump here. And he just simply says there is enough evidence to actually remove Jerome Powell from what did he say for exactly? But he basically says that when Powell was in front of for Congress, talking, I don't know if it was Congress or the Senate, I forget exactly, but he was communicating, he basically was lying about the improvements that he made to the building, and it's just like in a crazy excessive amount. And so he says just with that alone, it would be, he could basically have him removed from his position, which
only can happen via impeachment. So the House and the Senate would need to do that, and they got more shit to do than worry about that.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see as this stuff really starts to heat up between, the Fed. And I think I know it sounds weird, but I actually like the fact that America has a little rough edge with the Fed here. I like the fact that we're not friends, because I don't think they're for America, and I don't think they're sitting there trying to make America really great. So there is, and Tom Bilyeu really talks a lot about the Fed, saying, "Yo, this is a company that is not okay with America. They're here to make money. They're not here to make you and I successful." And so it's really interesting to sit there and see this really progress. And I think seeing this frenemy relationship pick up more, I think is a good thing for America, personally.
Sorry, I blued myself out there.
You did. I just was like, what happened? You blued. Great dad joke there.
Computer's running a little slow here.
Right. Well, it's 2:00, so kind of finishing up.
Mrs. Striking's going into a meeting here, so I'm.
All right.
I've got the time.
Okay.
Literally, if we could talk another 45 minutes if you want and help.
Yeah, but I love this.
It would help out our creator hours this month since there's a lot of holiday time and all that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching us. Let's do a top of the hour thing real quick here, Pedro.
All right. Well, I actually got. It's 2:00, and typically I'm on that timer for my body. So, you handle what you need to do.
Yeah,
and then I
this
will
is a good
come
time
back
for it.
in about 10 minutes.
All right.
So I'll be back in a few.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. It's the top of the hour here. Bitcoin, Ethereum doing well. Bitcoin is coming back up. Pumped earlier today. Dropped down a little bit, starting to come back up. All is good on that front. But anyway, you're watching DYOR Live. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media universe. My co-host, Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, is on break right now. As on these 2 and 3 hour shows, we have to do that. But anyway, he is giving the goods today in the economy. We're talking about the U.S. dollar today a lot and whether it's going to strengthen more. We've gone through a lot of anecdotal evidence. We've gone through a lot of facts that the government has released and all of that type of stuff. And obviously, the government has wanted a weaker dollar to spur U.S. manufacturing and exports and things like that. That's helped out a lot. That has happened, but it looks like from when you quantify everything, the U.S. dollar is only going to get stronger and become more of the hegemon. Just think about this: when we say Bitcoin dominance, the U.S. dollar dominance is the same thing. U.S. dollar dominance over all the other currencies is massive, and that's probably only going to get stronger. If I were to put up the Bitcoin dominance chart right now, you would see. Why didn't that change? You would see that Bitcoin is dominant over the alts by a lot, and it's been going up for years. People keep saying, "Oh, it's just got to wait," including me. Earlier on the show, I said, "You just got to wait for the alt or the Bitcoin dominance go down, and then look to your altcoins and start pumping." It's not going down. If you look at it on small time frames and intraday, yeah, it goes up and down. But if you look at a weekly pattern, just going up, and it's because Bitcoin is becoming institutionalized. The trust factor in it's going up and all that type of stuff. But anyway, this is when Pedro's doing his break is when I like to talk about the trades that I've been doing or having on. I earlier today. Let's see if I can bring this up successfully. Let's see this one, and then this one. Oh, look at that. I goofed that up. Let's get rid of that. Now, why do I have the blue ring on this one? Anyway, let's just bring up my screen and I'll work on that while we're talking. Look at that. I'm just about back in the... Sorry, I don't have the chart up handy. I wasn't prepared for this. Let's find it here. Now let's get rid of the blue thing on me. Anyway, the trade I had on today on Bitcoin this morning, right before non-farm payroll came out at 9:30 U.S. time here, which was this 15-minute chart here. Let's see. This is 8:30 my time here. Came out at 8:30. I'm sorry, 7:30 my time here. All right, so this chart here, you can see the red line, the red dip here where my cursor is here. Right before that, I entered a $2 trade. Now, I frequently practice getting into trades at very low dollar volume, so you can practice getting out of them at success. And unfortunately, I got in and it immediately dumped. My $2 trade turned into negative $5, and I was like, not a good thing. And so I did a little DCA otherwise known as mitigation, right where I thought it was about to turn around. And I thought it was about to turn around right where these twin tweezers are in the bottom here, tweezer tips. But I waited for a little confirmation. The second green candle here, actually this is the 15-minute chart. I did it on the 5-minute chart. On this second green candle here, I decided to say, all right, I'm going to double down on my order here. And then, of course, it ripped back up here. I made a cool $5. Cool $5. And then the market initially said, all right, now we're going to tank. And then right about in here, I did something I'm trying not to do anymore. Right where this, I don't know if you can see it that well. My cursor here, right about here. There was not on this chart here, but there was a bull flag on the 1-minute chart. These red lines were a bull flag, and I took it. I have it written in my journal. Don't take bull flags in a premium market unless it's price discovery and everything's going crazy. And it immediately dipped down, and then it rode its way all the way down here. Now, thankfully, it wasn't much. So I got down to about here. My stop was below the low right here. That's where my stop was. And I thought, oh, it's going to come down and hit my stop. Thankfully, it turned around here, and I'm only down. It's not on this chart because I'm logged in. Can't use this on this. I'm only down $6. Big trades, huh? Right? Big trades. But I was down $12 at one point on a. I don't know how much margin I put into this. It was a $150, a $1,500 position, and so the margin was $8.03. So I was down 50% at one point, and now I'm just about break even. I'm down just a little bit, but that was the perils of taking a trade at the top of the market. When there's price discovery and the volume is up, price discovery is when there's never been. It's past its all-time high. It's in a discovery area, but Pedro drills into my head every day. Got to watch the volume, and the volume was down when the bull flag was forming. If volume comes up when the bull flag is forming, that's good. It signifies there's a lot of money coming into the market. Can continue the trend. Unfortunately, the volume dropped, and I didn't catch it. And when the volume drops, the trend drops as well. So now I'm waiting for the rebound to happen in order to get my trade in. But these are all things that I'm learning from Pedro, also learning from watching a previous guest on our show, Crypto Lifer. His channel is just banging. Pedro and I could have a channel like his one day. That would be happy. But he trades all day, every day. And live streams way more than us. It's very different. More of a day trading, an actual day trading thing than what we do. But you get a lot of good advice there too. So those are the trades I'm doing. Currently, as I said, I started this $500 account. Got it up. Now it's up to $1,400 plus it's roughly $1,500 in value. I had a good weekend trading in HUSDT. I don't know what it is, but it's a something protocol. It ripped and then it tanked and made some decent gains. I did have a terrible trade in Bitcoin. I made a mistake. I made a rookie mistake by hitting the wrong button. I hit the wrong button and I hit the buy instead of the sell. And I added to my position when the market was going against me. And I quickly lost $150 or $250. And that was a lot. And somebody that trades little bits amounts makes $12 and $20 at a time. To lose $250 was dramatic. And the problem was I didn't know it when I did it. I didn't go, oh my God. I clicked it. I was multitasking, did a bunch of things, realized I added to my position. I doubled up on the way down and made a mistake. If only these UIs, the interfaces, would have like short on the left and long on the right, or just far apart. And not, you can go long and short in the same little squares here. I don't have it on the screen here. It's trimmed off here, but I'd show you these things. And it just drove me crazy. it drove me crazy. Because you can gain or lose money in the same little box. It's not a well-designed user interface. It's like when you're on your phone and the search, the thing that the magnifying glass is down at the bottom. Like in the music app I use. On the bottom is the search button. So you can just click search with your thumb, but the search bar is at the top. And so then you have to adjust everything and click up there. And then the typing comes down here, and you got to type down here. And then it drops the list down from up there, and you got to not a proper user interface. And all these exchanges use the same, behind the scenes software or whatever. They copy each other, and they all have this roughly the same interface. Then you can make mistakes. And being new to this, I am still doing that. So I'm not happy about that. But anyway, working my way up. I'm on my way to $5,000 bucks. Hopefully it'll go well here in the next couple days. Bitcoin is poised. It's poised. I'm not going to go do an analysis of it. If you want a good analysis of it, listen to Pedro talk about it, or go listen to Crypto Lifer's show today. We give the top-down analysis. He's very bullish about it. But like everyone else, got to come down before it goes up. So pay attention to that. But anyway, so it's going well with the trading. I'm very happy with it. And I, to be honest, I took a look at my P&Ls. But, I haven't used the same trading platforms, so it's hard to put together your P&L over them. But there was previous years in which you just went back and saw sporadic trading in futures, and it was just terrible. It was awful. Occasionally good wins for this type of stuff. And then there's a big period in which there's no P&Ls because I was using the demo accounts, basically from February till only 2 weeks ago. And only dabbling here and there when I thought I was smart enough to get back into real money, but I wasn't. And the past 2 months, last month, I had a $47 positive P&L. And so far this month, I'm sorry, May, $41 P&L. In May, it was more than $1,000. No, it wasn't more than $1,000. It was $800 and some dollars. And then now it's at whatever today's trade is. But although today's trade is, as you can see, starting to go against me again. Hopefully that candle will reverse itself like the other two red candles just before it. But the goal of this month, and we're going to revisit this at the end of the month, is for the trading account to pay the rent. As you know, I live in Ottawa and in Chicago. The missus and I have places in both. So that's a lot of rent. And so the goal isn't just to pay the cell phone bill or the electric bill. It's to pay the rent. Rent's due, motherfucker. Yo, Stu. The rent's due. Don't be pulling none of that falling down the stairs shit. What movie is that from, ladies and gentlemen? Wow, Bitcoin really reversed itself there. It was been gaining since before we got on the air. And then in a period of a minute, it just reverses itself. Well, the market's just closed. Well, that makes sense. Market's closed. People are taking their positions. I should have paid attention to that and hedged that. I'm monitoring myself talking about it. And that was the movie Coming to America, when Arsenio and Eddie Murphy are going to look at apartments and they find a really terrible place. And he says, yes, this is perfect. And one of the tenants falls down the stairs intentionally to get out of paying the rent. All right, let's check the social media here, stuff like that. Thanks to everyone that's watching us. We've got 16 people watching us on Rumble. It's about time for an ad. Come on, ad people. Anyway, for everyone watching us on Rumble, remember, this is an interactive show. Let me make sure that the Rumble graphics machine is working here. Oh my God, look at that. Sorry, everybody on Rumble. My graphics machine has not been reading them from Rumble. Crypto Mike in the house. Thanks for joining us, Crypto Mike. What's up, fuckers? Hey, Tom, do you know if they actually scrapped the idea of the digital tax in Canada? No, it's still law, Mike. If you're still watching, thank you very much. It's still the law in Canada. It became law on Monday. It was passed last year under the previous government. It was going to enter in force at the end of June, which it did. But that doesn't mean the government has to collect the tax. And so Parliament would have to sit again to end the tax completely, in which what will probably happen is they'll pass a bill having to do with the trade negotiations and stuff like that, and deal with it then. But right now, what the Carney government has said is that it's still the law, but we're not going to collect it right now because we can't just, since it's law, they can't just say no. But they can tell the people that collect it, hey, we got to delay this while we fix it. Mike, did you hear all of our airports are shut down? Yeah, I heard that on the news earlier that Ottawa and Montreal were closed, or Montreal, as Pedro would say it, are shut down right now. I haven't been following it because I was preparing for the show, but if there's anything, that there was a BOMB threat. Let's see. Wow, it duplicated the comments a lot. Not much going on this weekend, dude. Headed off to the campground. Mike, where you live? He lives in Manitoba. He lives in part of Manitoba where there are not a lot of people. It's where the people go to camp. They get out of the city and go where you live to get away from things. Mm-hmm. Anyway, thanks to everyone that's been watching us on Rumble. Remember, this is an interactive show. We got questions. Pedro will be back in a few minutes here. When he gets back, he'll go over some more news and some pricing, and I'll get the opportunity to take a break. Anyway, we're watching the Bitcoin price go down here and my trade go in the negative. And hopefully you know what, I didn't check for divergence or anything like that. Let's look for that real quick here. Why did that trade go against us all of a sudden? Let's bring that up. This is not my default chart. This is just a regular chart. No, it's still going down. Great. It's going down even faster now. Hooray. All right, let's see. Where is that main chart of mine? There it is. Let's see. Let's look at the 15-minute time frame here. We're out of the main trading hours this morning. Mike is out touching grass. No, there really wasn't any divergence. Let's see here. RSI is higher lows, and the price was higher lows. The price is still higher lows, so that's still bullish here. Still bullish on the price overall today. Let's see if I can do this on the chart. You guys can see. Let's look at it here. Why is it not trend line? Let's add the RSI. That's not what I'm looking for. These default charts. Indicators. Why is this not bringing up the normal one? All right, here's the RSI, and let's look at the trend line here in that same time frame. No, that's up also. No, it's bullish indicators. Just why is it not drawing the line? All right, sorry. I'm looking at the MEXI charts, and they just don't work as well in the U.S. They don't feed the right information here to my IP address. Still, the pattern remains bullish for Bitcoin. Let's see, what are the other things doing here? Cardano, up 1%. Pedro talked about this one recently, but I don't have any idea what it does. Aleo, anyone know what that does? Down 5% today. Algorand. Algorand, we talked about Algorand yesterday. Pulled my earphone out. We talked about Algorand yesterday, in which was invented in 2019. A really fast blockchain, but facing a lot of competition and not enough customers yet for all these blockchains. BNB, Mike, here's your baby. Your beaners. Beans. Beaners is a different type of term. That was not a compliment in the 1980s where I grew up. $659, still hanging around there in the mid 600s. Ethereum, everyone's waiting for Ethereum to boom. Everyone says it's going to go crazy, but it hasn't yet. It hasn't yet. You remember Bitcoin hanging out near its highs for a while. Ethereum is still 40% away from its highs. Monero has been getting a lot more popular lately as the as chain analysis. Well, that's a topic I forgot to talk about the other day. Turns out chain analysis, not exactly doing everything legitimately and reporting to the government as evidence for against people. And the guy that's, if you recall, the guy that invented Tornado Cash is Dutch, and the Dutch arrested him for anti-money laundering and all this type of stuff. Like, wanted to send him to jail forever. And now here in the U.S., we're like, mixers, not such a big deal anymore. Free speech. And the Dutch government, and even other governments that wanted his ass in jail, because chain analysis said, all these wallets are his, and see, you can hear he's, all that money's moving around, but then the people go, well, his taxes didn't show that, so he's money laundering or something. Well, it turns out chain analysis wasn't doing everything by the book. They were aggregating things and making assumptions. And in criminal cases, you can't make assumptions. Things have to be fact-based. Somewhat of a disaster. Anyway, Monero is still doing well, above $300. Litecoin, the unfun stepchild of the proof-of-work family, $89 is up a little bit today. That long time ago was much more expensive. It should have recovered. Now it's got lumped into the altcoin. Before it was like traded equivalently with Bitcoin. And now it's just a low rent proof of work coin. Ripple. I've got a lot of people here that love Ripple. And that's a way to get a lot of views on your stream. It's just to put XRP news incoming. It's going to change. Everything's going to change. Of an O-face. And all they do is just say, the same bullshit over and over again. The SEC might give them their $150 million back. It's going to pump. No, it's not. No, it's not. They still don't make any money. The company doesn't make any money, which means they either got to go to the investment community for it or they have to sell XRP. It's going to come down. Hey, interestingly enough, we're right at $4 billion in 24-hour volume. And still sitting at 226 off its highs of 375 or something like that. Solana's been a difficult one lately. It's been as volatile as the price of gasoline in California, but thankfully right now it's come back up. Got pretty low there recently. A couple of fellow streamers are highly invested in it, and they didn't have to sell or get liquidated. Should be good things to come for Solana as it gets it's traded on the CME now via the Pedro will have to explain it. On Stellar, Jesus, if you're still out there, wondering if you're still holding your Stellar. they too suffer from the Ripple syndrome. They have more money in their foundation than they do in their business, and so it requires them to sell. And they pretty much time it to sell their stuff when Ripple does to help fund their operations. That's the overview I have for now. Let me check in on the. You can see my the Bitcoiner price here. If it holds that trend line, it's good. That means the RSI and the divergences. The RSI will remain bullish. Price action will remain bullish. Obviously, we all know if you look at the red, just the other side of that, that can change at any moment. Where was this other one that I had fun with? Oh yeah, that thing pumped. They shouldn't have sold that. Would have made a ton of money. Let's see. Let's bring that one up. HUSDT. You know, I don't have that one on the big machine here. Let's look at that. CoinGecko. HUSDT. Yeah, there's nothing on CoinGecko about it other than it's just its charts. I don't have a CoinGecko listing yet, but they are. Let's bring up the old 4-hour chart here. Look at this one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the HUSDT. I was trading it on. It's on Mexi's perpetual futures contracts, and it started going crazy. Let me bring this over a little bit here so we can see it. Or I can point to it. Started going crazy, as you can see right here. This big red candle, the first thing it looks like it got rugged, or that is not real pricing. That's just when they launched the contract on the Mexi's future. It actually came. It started pricing at the bottom here. I can't figure out where to point this here, and then it's proceeded to just like this. And this movement in a futures contract, you can make a lot of money on. And I first got in right where it started, before it went, I think right about there. Because the chart looked really good, the volume was up, people were talking about it. I said, all right, let's try a little bit. And I quickly turned $5 into $82 as it went up like that. I was like, hey, I love this one. Let's do that again. And so then I bought in again and turned $5 into minus $40, because as you can see, this come down. I was like, darn it. And then these stair steps up here fixed that problem. And I added about $250 to the wallet or so in it. And it was wonderful. And then right here at the top here, because you're able to use 75 times leverage, and you could basically put on a position, any position I wanted. But for me, that's a low amount of money. I'm not, I'm putting $25,000 into it or things like that. So at 75 leverage, if you put $100 into it, you get, or 10x leverage, you get a $750 position. At 100x leverage, you get a $7,500 position. And so I was using that to go all the way up here. And then right up here, they limit it. The Mexi limited. It said you can't use it. You can only use 20 times leverage, and you can only have a position as big as $900. And anyone with a larger position of that needs to liquidate it, and bring it down. Now I don't know why exchanges do that. Obviously, an imbalance in orders and things like that. And so people had to get their money out, and so it came off. I was like, darn it, the fun is over. But let me go back to the chart here. The fun is over. But as you can see, the fun is not over. It came back, and then I think I hear Senor Pedro coming back on the air here.
Senor Pedro.
And then you can see where my cursor is here. The green started back up, and I added an additional $25 to the wallet. But let me bring up the smaller chart. I'm just reviewing a I don't know what it is. I'll just refer to it as a meme token. But it was a trending token on Mexi, so I played around with it, and it was one of the home runs that we were talking about that I made. Turned $5 into 82. But as you can see, the uptrend it's in right now, it's been trading in this range for the past couple hours, and it just goes back and forth from that. But it was fun. It was HUSDT, no idea what it was. Doesn't have a CoinGecko listing, but it was on Mexi's perpetuals.
Nice.
So we had a little fun with it. Anyway, the break was good. What I did is I just talked about a little bit about Bitcoin, where it's at, my growth in trading, bringing the account from $500 up a little bit, some of the mistakes I've made, the good things that had happened, that type of stuff. Just trying to bring those viewers along with the journey.
Yes. The journey. I should probably just start an account where we can sit there and just say, look, this is what I'm doing, and just play my trades. I mean, it really is. It's one of those things I need to do. I need to actually go through and set up a real, it's either Mexi or the new Coinbase system. I'm really wanting, I want to see the Crypto.com to set up something like Mexi. And it's frustrating me that they don't because I like their system, and maybe they're getting ready to, and they're going to do something like that. But man, come on, people! If what's up, Mr. CEO of Crypto.com? Let me make you money, okay? All right, man. And they, I know they're doing well right now, but this is where everything's going, so. It's really interesting. I had a very big breakfast this morning, and so everything kind of got flushed out, that's why I had to go. I was like, I have to go. But the reason I'm bringing that up is my after everything got flushed out, I'm feeling a little bit of flush here, so it's really interesting. My tongue is not moving the way that it should, which is, you can kind of hear it in my something. I don't know what's going on, so I'm just giving you a heads up so you know. Normally I'm drinking water throughout this whole entire thing, but I've been trying to not, because it just looks weird when you see this big old thing pop up.
Well, I've never seen anyone drink water like you do. I mean, most people drink it like this. You drink it violently.
Did I ever tell you this story of me?
It's like,
dude, so I think I was a senior, and I tell everybody, I let everybody know, right? I was special ed. I'm short bus team. Let's go. ADD, all special classes. I think only for math where I was mainstreamed. And they try to do it in high school, there would be these debates, and I didn't have the vernacular in my vocabulary to be able to communicate my thought processes. And so I did not have the ability to communicate efficient, like you said, the engine and then the short tires. Well, imagine the short tires being more just dummies, right? Just those dummy tires, right? And it's all four, right? And all of a sudden, but I've got the brain there. And I remember sitting there, it was my junior year. So two situations. I I was sitting there drinking water. I was in this class. I think it was my senior year, and I had to pass this class. It was sophomore year biology, and I had it here. Like I had it all memorized. But the problem is bringing it and translating it from here to my penship, because I couldn't. I didn't know how to write. Like I looked like a second grader when you would see me write, because I didn't have. I just because of being in foster
hadn't practiced those skills.
Right, because of foster care, basically, I was moved along, right, and because I was moved along from home to home, I didn't pick up the skills that you would learn from like first grade to sixth or seventh grade, sixth grade, and so I was extremely retarded, and in that aspect going through, and I mean like in the actual traditional sense of literally backed away, not as progressed, not as in like the slang term or the derogatory term. I mean, literally, I was retarded back from educational standpoints, and so I had all these thoughts, but I didn't know how to communicate it here from an actual vocabulary, because I didn't have it, as well as my grammar and spelling ability wasn't there. So I would just get frustrated because I'm like, I had an extremely wide view of understanding.
Wide head?
Because
wide view.
Okay. Still wide head. I mean, actually, it was very funny because I was very muscular in high school, very muscular. I mean, like when I was a freshman year, I remember this girl coming up to me saying to me, "Dude, you have like a grown man body. You have a six pack. You see pictures of me in my 18 years old, and I look like I could have been a 24-year-old bodybuilder." Like, no, I'm not joking. Like this, you know. And anyways, long story short, I remember sitting there in my senior year of biology class, and I was always drinking water. And it's when they first started the bottled water stuff. This was like, when was that? I was 18, so almost 20 plus years ago when they really kind of started them. And they were the big old thicker glass or the thicker plastic.
Yep.
Right back then. And so I was sitting there, and like as violently as I do it now, but I would go like this, and I would literally crush it with my hands, bro. I
make super loud noise,
bro. And I remember my the sophomore biology. I hope you guys are cracking up over this because this is hilarious. She looks at me. She's teaching, and everybody stops in the class, bro. And like I had this situational awareness of a dung beetle, bro, at that age, right? Like I just socially, I wasn't 100% there. Mentally, I was very wide, vast, and I had a wide understanding of the world, like I do right now, right? Like I can see things from many different perspectives. But the problem is the maturity level wasn't there, so I didn't know how to really communicate what I was thinking. And so, like you're talking about, like it's just anyways, I remember sitting there going. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh, and I looked at her, I wanted to go back and take notes. And she stops the class and looks at me and goes, I have never seen anybody. And she wasn't rude. She wasn't like, like she was being complimented because she knew I was special ed and I was, needed to get this class done. Part of the just requirements that she needed to learn so you could graduate high school. And she looks at me, dog, and she goes, I have never seen anybody violently drink something. I've seen it and read it in books. But she goes, that is impressive. And I was like, okay.
Very impressed.
Right. And everybody was just like, this guy's a freaking weirdo. But the problem is like, it was just funny. And then, what was it? Then I remember I went to junior college, and I had this guy, Dr. Knoll. He was he taught history at Meadows Junior College. And I still remember this. This was a huge, like, way. I always thought I was just like slow and not smart, and that was just my life. I wasn't an intelligent individual. Everybody was smarter than me, and I literally thought I wouldn't amount to much. I'll probably be just a ditch digger. I was, working construction, and just
move
thought
this
I was
one
going to be a loser. Anyways, he comes up to me, and I'm taking this history 101, And I'm sitting there and I'm reading through the books and I'm writing notes and I'm memorizing everything, because typically what I would do. So I would have it, because the writing, I would have to memorize the words so I could actually write. And he had these tests that you would have to sit there write out. And so he was one of the last classes that I was taking. And he looks at us, Pedro, I want to sit down and talk with you. And I'm thinking he's going to reprimand me, call me an idiot. And why am I in the class to stop asking those questions that I keep asking? And he goes, can you sit down real quick? Because I had a foster father who said, if somebody ever brought you in and they ask you to sit down, don't sit down, because you're basically causing them to make them.
All right, get to the point.
So the point of this is that he sits me down and he goes, and I want to share this to everybody. If anybody's ever felt like this in life and haven't had the best experiences in education, or just feel like you're a dum-dum, right? Doesn't matter. He sits there and he goes, you're probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my class I've ever had. Absolutely. He goes, the questions that you ask are questions I've never even thought about. I've never thought about them. And you ask these questions. He goes, your questions that you asked in the study groups that you go to, people look at you, you sat there, and my aides don't know how to respond to you because they don't actually even think about things the way you think about. And he goes, and he asked me, he goes, the biggest issue that you have in life is this, is you have a Ferrari. You have a Ferrari for your brain. And it's beautiful. The inside is absolutely immaculate and absolutely gorgeous. We're talking leather, or Italian leather. You got a great, at the time systems were huge. The louder, the better. Great. He just nailed it. And I said that. And he goes,
however,
the only problem is somebody went through and took a hammer, the small little hammers that you use for finishing. I go, yeah, because he knew I did construction, because he asked me. And he goes, somebody went through and grabbed one of those and went out over all of your beautiful Ferrari and just put hundreds of thousands of little taps to mess it all up. But here's the thing, it still doesn't affect the engine, doesn't affect anything else. It just makes it look really interesting. He goes, you need to learn to write. Take an English start. He goes, I'm pretty sure, because I read your essays, I can barely make them out, but they're brilliant. And he goes, you need to learn how to write. So I'm going to set you up with one of the English teachers, and she's going to work with you. And she's going to teach you how to write and start you over, and we're going to work this out with you. And I remember sitting there going I was like, and I still thought I was an idiot, because I thought he was mocking me, right? Because I was so used to teachers treating me that way that I thought he was just mocking me. But looking back now, I was like, because I had such a low view of myself at that time, that it was one of those moments that, looking back now, I was like, that man on a subconscious level changed my life. And so sometimes I'm not such awarely aware of certain things, because my brain is thinking about other things, a million other things going on, and I just don't necessarily realize I'm going like this.
And now we see why you and the Coast Guard parted ways. They're like, he stood out there, didn't see one goddamn container floating in the ocean before us, figured out how to solve the world's problems, but we hit 6 rocks.
Speaking of that, I was one of the best, because I actually figured out how to, we're talking within 20 meters. You don't understand. When you're checking out 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, I was able to figure out, literally saying, we have a ship coming in, starboard side coming in about X amount of knots this far out. And they were always amazed. They started becoming a bet on the actual I forget what that's called, where the captain, the guy who's the OD at the time running the ship and everything, they used to sit there now. I found this out because a good friend of mine was like, you're so good at that they literally bet to see if you're off. They go, you're so good at steering it, because I figure out these little details, that kind of like how I look at trading here, right? Like the market
Now we know
here.
where he gets his math from. The Coast Guard figured out. He learned sine, cosine, and tangents, and angle of attacks, and speed variant deviation and stuff. Just from standing on the front of a boat for 4 hours, so he didn't hit
That's
the container in the water.
Exactly.
Anyway, Pedro, I'm going to stop you there and answer a question
All right.
from the audience here. Mike asked
go
if that's a new sponsor. I dropped the Bitcoin.com logo under the pricing box here just to take some screenshots of it. So you would have, it would go in our effort to showing Bitcoin.com what it would look like if they did sponsor it. So that's why that's up there. No, they're not a sponsor, nor do they endorse or anything like that. But I take certain liberties with their logo, so Pedro can send them to their guys and say, look, you should sponsor our pricing thing when we talk about Bitcoin.
Well, I'm actually writing up a little thing for them because I'm going to send it off to one of their, so I can do an opt-ad piece there in regards to Bitcoin, and just seeing and tell them what I see. The back end behind it is that we are trying to kind of get sponsored by them, but ultimately they have a lot of stuff going on, and so we may not. Hopefully, we know that we've got some inroads in relationship to some stuff here on some of these social platforms. So we're trying to really utilize those and to really uptick our viewership here. Hopefully it will, but ultimately, like, we're just on the slow grind and we're just out there doing, and ultimately you guys are our shillers by you guys hitting share and hitting the like. That's really where what builds the community, and you guys joining the Telegram group on the social media platform that we have, or on the social media Telegram group, by joining our group there, us hitting and sending that link, they look at to see how many times somebody clicks that and joins, and then from there that also helps in our numbers as well. So please, if you guys are watching us, please go into the comment section, make a comment. If you can't do that, then if you guys could do us a quick favor, go in then and just log in, create a platform, or create a profile on Rumble. From there, you just go in and connect what's actually the little things that you need to do. Then you can comment. But more importantly, what helps us is that you guys are simply subscribing and then sending that out, sending it to your friends, saying, check these guys out. They're funny. They're weird looking. The dude with the long hair has a big nose and it's pretty ugly looking. But either way, it's one of those things that will allow you to be able to help us out immensely if you could check us out, if you enjoy our content and enjoy what we do here. So that would really help us out. And then in doing that, it brings our numbers up. And then we have sponsors who come to us. So
that's the goal here, and now I'm also doing the same. I'm gonna screenshot that one too.
There we go. We can have the computer company come and take care of that. That'd be cool.
I used to buy so much stuff from them, and none of the people I used to interact with are there anymore.
Ah, man. Well, it's just a matter of time before we do. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. All right. So what's interesting is this, and I think it's a good thing to bring up here. So I saw that you were talking about Ethereum, and one of the things I think with Ethereum is we're watching volume starting to pick up a little bit more, and we're also watching the average price within volume come down. Hence, as we start to increase within more volume, which we've talked about this here, this sideways market here, we had a lot more buyers than sellers. And now we're pulling back down, but here, even with the short amount of volume that we've seen here over the last week, you can see here that we've definitely had a little bit more volume in the buyer side than in the seller side. And so I'm definitely more advent.
I'm going to take a quick break, Pedro. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. You're good. I'm definitely more advent. I'm definitely have this view of this market pushing up in relationship to where we're sitting now, because the fact is that we're seeing more buyers step in even at this midpoint here. So I know it's a bit displaced from how I'm communicating about Bitcoin, but the reality is that I think there is more utility to Ethereum and their network and what they're actually doing than Bitcoin. Now, on the back end, intrinsic value from a decentralized standpoint, right? We know that Bitcoin definitely holds the can on that. I mean, they truly are a decentralized system with their consensus protocols and how they set everything up. Whereas Bitcoin is a little bit more, or excuse me, not Bitcoin, but as Ethereum is a little bit more centralized because Buterin is really kind of the head guy there. So, but ultimately, it's still a decentralized system, especially with a lot of the other coins within it. It's kind of beautiful what we're seeing. Also, I know he was talking about the Monero. We had talked about Monero, I think, when was I think November? Let's talk about the Monero. Monero XMR. So we talked about Monero, which was really interesting. It was back here, December-ish, November-ish. So this is around the area here. It was the news that had come out where, not Monero, something Cash, Tornado Cash, that's what it was. Tornado Cash had made a comment, or they had won their case in court in relationship to what was actually happening. And give me one sec, I'm actually responding to Draco. Draco, what's up, baby? We haven't seen baby Draco in a minute. Infineon official mascot. Nice. Love it. Which I'm back here. ADD moment. Sorry, guys. Let's check this out here real quick. I want to shout him out because he's just a faithful follower of our show. He's always been good to us. So I'm a huge proponent. Why am I... They're not letting us. Welcome to the live. Remember, Draco. They are not. Tag you, brother. Oh, ¿qué pasa, señor? ¿Qué pasa, mi hermano? ¿Qué pasa? All right, sorry about that, guys. I know I just went weird there. So let's pull this up back here. So you can see back here, we had talked about Tornado Cash winning the lawsuit and what was happening. So I said, in relationship to that, we saw Tornado Cash just explode. Boom. So I said, let's take the other side of that trade and trade XRP, or not, excuse me, regurgitate that. Rewind XMR, which is literally the opposite of XRP. But so XMR Monero was literally one of the systems. I said, you know what? We saw another push up, but expected to come back down to these lower levels. So we talked about it sitting at that 172, 166 area here. And I said that pullback here would be dope because this would be a counter. This would not be a counter. This would be a sister play to the Tornado Cash play here. So I said, expected to pull back a couple times to this area where you could buy it. And I said, expect probably a 2 to 3x off of this. But I also said it'd be a good play because if we're looking, if you got it at the time, we were on the Zach Humphreys show quite a bit on the Daily Breakfast Club. If you guys want another entertaining show that I think is fun, it's on X called the Crypto Breakfast Show, I think in the morning, or the Breakfast Club show, Crypto Breakfast Club show. But it's with Zach Humphreys. And there's a bunch of other characters out there that are great guys. They're really funny. But I went on there and I said, guys, this is a great play. If you got a lot of money and you want to maybe put something in, I'm definitely putting in some pretty good cash here off of this because that's what I'm looking to do. And I wanted to share that with them. And I said, I like that 172 area, 166. And if every time it comes back down, I look to be picking it up. And so we saw it go up. It originally did like almost a 2x, came back down. We picked up again. And then this is when we saw this was definitely an institutional play situation here where we saw it come back down to the 400 period moving average. Huge sell off. Boom, picked up, and then it went up. And what they did here is stopped out all these stops here, which is sad. And they came into our area, like what we talked about, and then they just pushed back up and went all the way, I think, to 420. 420. And so, or 420 here. I'm trying to do it in the middle. 420. There we go. And so it hit this, but we're watching this play here coming even more so now. So I don't think it's a bad situation to get in. This level here again that I'm looking at, is more sitting at that 277 and 280 area. If it gets below here, there's going to be a liquidity pool right here, which is going to be sitting at that 265, 266 area as it comes down expected. And this is one of the things I always talk about, right? I do not know why my mouth is getting weird. Forgive me, guys. I am getting weird in mouth. Forgive me. Sorry about that. I'm trying not to violently.
Pedro, I've been lurking in the background here, but one of our viewers brought up the fact that the big beautiful bill passes.
Oh, snapsity snaps. Oh, let's play.
Yep.
We should. Okay. Yeah, we should see.
Why did
push up?
What? Why is my?
Ooh.
I don't know what button I just hit.
If anybody knows what that's from, what's this from? All right, as we transition, left camera, right camera, left camera, right camera. All right, sorry, it's being a goofball here. Wayne's World party time, excellent. Dude, we're such 90 babies, bro. That's bad. Okay. So I'm expecting BTC here. We're consolidating here right now because it's the end of the close. You can see here that they're playing here right now. Let's see what's going on with the... Oh, it looks like they're going to drop it.
No, come on. No. Okay. Big beautiful bill passes. It needs to pump. I'm in along. It needs to pump.
Hey, help Tom out here. All right, come on, let's go. Boom. All right, so we're bouncing.
Bitcoin didn't react at all. You know, the bill's been passed now for 10 minutes, and Bitcoin didn't even flinch.
Flinching eye too. It didn't even bat an eye. But okay. All right. I'm about to have a good day.
Mike says Wayne's World, especially party time, excellent.
Party time, excellent. If y'all know what that's from, here's one for you. Let's take over the world. What's that from? Anybody?
Let's take over the world.
Or what are we gonna do today?
Are you talking about the brain and Pinky? Gonna take over the world.
What are we doing today? We're gonna take over the world. What we do every day, Pinky. We're gonna take over the world. Boom. So we've got a nice little boom. Hit that. Popped it. Okay.
They have not given us another ad to read today, and we've had more than 20 people on here for a long time. Must be a low advertiser day because of the holidays coming up or something. We'll blame it on that, not on the fact that.
But it doesn't even matter because the fact is, I just love the fact that we've been consistently with you guys over at Rumble. You've really been showing up, and we really appreciate you guys so much, man.
We do.
Consistently being at 20, 25. If we get ads or not, dope, cool, whatever. And I'm not to say I'm not trying to disparage the ad readers or the advertisers, but I'm just saying I appreciate our viewers really stepping in and just watching and supporting us. Really like that, guys. Thank you so much for that. But also in the same sense here, you can see here that we've got that here. We came back, pulled back. It's just it's kind of iffy. We're sitting right here at this resistant area here. Yeah. At that 11 o'clock, and that's just really what it's playing with right now. It really is. And the fact that we have low volume here, it just doesn't help.
It's not just low volume; it's no volume. I mean, look at this thing right here. I mean, that's like that's like you ran over a little frog on the road with your 18-wheeler.
Like legit. But I mean, the reality is that what do you expect, right? So we could see this push up higher. You just got that. You've got this resistant level at the 11 o'clock area here, and this is a 4-hour zone. So, and it had an okay amount of volume in that sell off. So this is where I'm more adamant to sit there and say I expect to see it kind of hit that and maybe just flounder around. If anything, I would take a small cover call, or not a cover call, down here. Yeah, is it? Yeah, no.
Which way you think the market's going to go?
I think it's going to go sideways. I think really going to play between this level here, because we would already seen the big play already happen once we saw the bill pass, right? Whether up or down, because they'd already put their positions in relationship to that big, beautiful bill. And so whether they believed it was going to go up, right? So the rumor is it's going to be good, it's going to pass. So they bet the market to go up. And this is why I was expecting it to go down, because if in, what is it? Buy the rumor, sell the news, right? This is the idea. Buy the rumor, the rumor is big, beautiful bill is going to pass. Once it announces, boom, we see the sell-off. That's why I said we should see a sell-off here. But on the back end, as I'm looking at this, come on, bud. Don't be a douche.
Darn computer. CDW, please sponsor our show and help us out with our technology solutions.
Yes.
CDW, the solution provider.
I have a really good computer. The problem is I have so much going on with it. That's the problem. Same thing with you. You got a good computer, but it's just
you know what, Pedro? Mine's. I got this one in 2021, and it was a top end one back then. And now, when you look on the rating scales, like cheapo computers made now do better than my super one from 4 years ago.
Yeah, the last few years though, they've seen some major advancements within computer mechanisms. I mean, just the software idea correlating with the actual hardware has made like seismic jumps. So it's really, we're.
Well, even the things like they incorporate things they used to have to put on another side chip on the motherboard, like. They incorporate into the new i7s and i9 chips and things like that, the new AMD chips, like the new video codecs that come out. There's a lot of video instruction stuff that happens on the main chip, and all those new things that come out. And so, the older computers have to default to the older, less efficient ways, and blah, blah, blah. Even if you get, if I were to put the new 5090 graphics card in my machine, graphics would work better, sure. But the information still doesn't get to that card fast enough because it's still limited by the chip. So, anyway, CDW, please sponsor us.
We should reach out to them and say, hey, by the way, what's going on? I mean, we're going to do this we've been talking about going to a lot of the July conferences around
I do need to follow up with that. You're right.
Yeah, so follow up with that. And then, because we're going to be checking out some cool stuff, NFT world, a few other dope. If I stop saying that would be really great, right? As I was about to say, we plan on actually going to a lot of the Northeastern conferences, and I really want to interview people with the DYOR Media Network logo, and just really saying, hey, we are with DYOR Network for crypto. We're just trying to see what's going on. What are your views? And we want to just get little snippets of high profile people saying what they're planning on doing with a lot of these. Because again, there are a lot of advancements. I've talked about a lot of developments within ETF technology. We've already seen in the previous bull run and into
Did you just confuse NFT and ETF?
Sorry. NFTs. I appreciate it. I said ETFs, my bad. NFT development with the D ETF and NFTs. Sorry, NFTs. And NFT. One of the things that actually helps me out with my dyslexia is a dope thing called sign language. It keeps and it readjusts my mind so I can quickly move forward without having to sit there and go into like a all right. So, man, I'm used to something's going on within my stomach, bud. long story short, I expect to see this NFT next bull run really kick in with some awesome new developments within NFTs, especially with the new development of the DNFTs. One of the biggest issues is the non-fungible side of it, which is the whole entire point behind it. But there's got to be a way to be able to keep the non-fungible aspect behind the NFTs so that you can be able to change it and still keep the original standpoint. So I think we're going to definitely see an improvement in DNFTs that correlate with that. So that's one of the things I'm really hoping to see and really allow us to be able to solidify these major documents that we have to sit there and have a hard copy with and digitize them and put them on the blockchain and allow it to be easy accessible to those who need to get it without having to sit there and wait 2.5, 3 weeks to receive your documents, and where you can get it almost instantly. That was a lot to say. Just simply say we needed to be able to pull off of the blockchain quickly and easy for our major documents. I got to be back in just a few minutes again because for whatever
Pedro
reason,
needs a quick break. He's got a lot going on, and we're running late. So obviously he has other appointments he needs to take care of here, and he'll be back in just he'll be back
just
in a
a
minute
few
or so.
minutes again. Sorry about that, guys.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're paying attention to the box, the pricing box over on the left-hand side of the screen there, you'll notice Bitcoin starting to run back up, and it looks like it's going to help me out with my trade here. Let's bring that back. That screen back here. The big beautiful bill passes. Oh, how about that? I didn't think that would take. I didn't think it would get done with this one House of Representative guy, Massey, saying that he had enough supporters to stop it. So 2 Republicans voted against it, and it still got done. There's Representative Thomas Massey speaks to the press on July 3rd. Kentucky and Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania voted alongside Democrats against Trump's massive domestic policy bill. I note I do not believe either of them are running again. So Trump's threat of running someone against them is moot. Let's see, what else did it say? The House was voting on it. That was 54 minutes ago, and then this was reported a half hour ago that they passed it. The package passed by the Senate in a marathon session earlier this week includes tax cuts and funding boosts. I might add, it doesn't include tax cuts. It just extends the current tax status, which was set to expire here this year. It also includes more contentious spending cuts to pay for the rest of the bill, including the biggest downsizing of the federal safety net in decades. It gives, well, first of all, I mean, Medicare just doesn't take care of the poor. Everyone's eligible for it, so very wealthy people get Medicare also, and removing them from that is kind of a good thing. But that's the gist of it. The big beautiful bill has passed. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to become law as soon as Donald Trump signs it, which I imagine will be quite the media spectacle. Media spectacle. Are you all finished? We're still on. But anyway, it'll be quite the media spectacle, and it'll be incredible. I'm sure. I hope Mr. Trump. Remember the guy that's always next to him, that's holding the executive orders for him to sign. The unnamed guy that became the most famous guy in America next to Mr. Trump. He is the president's what's called personal valet. If you watched the show West Wing, the character Charlie was the president's valet. And this guy was that. And I'm sure he'll be bringing Mr. Trump a big thing to sign, put his signature on for it. But that's not the point. Let's get back to Bitcoin here. Bitcoin pumping up to 107,000 here on the futures market on Mexi. Just one candle retracement there. We want that to keep going up here, ladies and gentlemen. When we last spoke about it on the show here, it was down. It was just coming back here, and it was in the process of retracing this red line down here while I was talking about it. And it's doing that again while I'm talking about it, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Anyway, so my trade is being helped out by this little run up here. Hopefully by the end of this, Pedro comes back. We're going to wrap up the show. We went on for a longer time today because we're not going to be on tomorrow, but we need to accrue the hours for the Rumble Creator Program. So we might as well go over these news events. Let me do a quick check to see if there are any advertisements to read. No, they're not. Slow day on the advertisements, ladies and gentlemen. Slow day on the advertisements. Anyway, thanks to the 20 of you watching currently on Rumble. Really appreciate it. Our LinkedIn stream has been well watched also. I just checked on that. We had another 15 people tune into that. With both LinkedIn and Rumble, we actually get most of our viewers in replays later in the day. So both of these broadcasts will have ended up with 100 plus people. Thank you very much for everyone that shares the link. We really appreciate it. I just realized this whole time, 3-hour long show, I've not had any music playing at all. Oh, we'll be playing that one later. Let me rewind that. All right, ladies and germs. I just noticed the Bitcoin spot price going back up. So I'm anticipating. Oh, and then as I say that, the green candle comes back over my shoulder here. The futures price will be catching up with it. Now, we've had a good show today. The important stuff about the dollar and all that is really important if you are a serious trader. If you're just into meme coins and stuff like that, forget it. Don't need to worry about that. But if you're a trader trying to figure out the long term, you look at the weekly and monthly candles to figure out trades. This information is important because, as we said earlier, if who brought it up? Was it Mikester or I can't remember who brought it up? If the big beautiful bill passes, what will happen? There's a lot of programs that need to be funded in that. In which we're not going to see the gains from tariffs or other things like that to offset the costs for a while. So guess what has to happen? They need to print some money. The Treasury has to sell some bonds, and hopefully they'll get plenty of good customers buying those at the auctions, so they won't have to raise yields so much. But that means the money printer go brrr, and when the money printer go brrr, banks get more money, and they need to do something with it. Sitting on my microphone or earpiece, and they need to do something with it. And that money, if it goes to the banks, that means it goes to their investment side of the bank first, and they put that directly into Wall Street. You'll see the S&P 500 pump. You'll see the Nasdaq pump. I guess that's a good point. Let's take a look at that. Let's fire up the trading view here and see what the NQ is doing. Since the beautiful bill has passed. Oh, it's pumped. Nah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Another trading view offer. Let's see, I got the daily chart on. Let's try the 1 minute chart. That was the month chart. Don't have the trading view shortcuts down yet. All right, since the big beautiful bill has passed, we had so we've had the initial pump here. It went up, and then it sold off, and now it's coming back on the line. I have to imagine that since the markets are actually closed, let's see, when did these close? That was the 113. It's my time here. 114. Yeah, so the liquidity's out of the market. Not much going to happen. And that was probably wise of the Senate or the House to pass it after the market's been closed. Everyone's away from their desks now. And Wall Street, and the street's empty and deserted, and everyone's out in the Hamptons and the Jersey Shore. Or if they're in one of the hedge funds that's moved to Miami. They're on they're on a plane out of there because it's too hot down there. Let's see here. I'm just waiting for Pedro to come back so we can wrap this show up. If I don't hear from him another minute, we're going to end it anyway. Let's update that Bitcoin price here, see what's going on with it. All right, so as we can see here, I got the Bitcoin chart up here. My trade is coming back to life here as the price goes up. We continue to watch the spot price here. The spot price is now 109.8, and the futures price is 109.7. Actually, they're about $50 off on these two things. Which means that that the price, the spread was 250 points earlier, and that spread is narrowing. Which means that it's leaning towards the spot price in this case, which means green candles hopefully here. We need one to bust across this resistance level here. Let's find out if there's any actual resistance level there. Crypto Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate every minute you listen to us all the way from up there in Manitoba. Hope you had a happy Kanukastani Day, and thanks for wishing us Americans a happy Independence Day tomorrow. Because we did something you guys will never do. We declared war on the king. He said, that's it. Enough of you. You're out. Get out. And he sent those redcoats here, and we sent them back to Canada. And then we declared war again in 1812, and that didn't work out so well. But we don't worry about that stuff. All right, let's look at the actual position here. Come on, Rumble, let us serve us up one more ad here before the end of the day here. Let us make our 52 cents today. All right, it's good. My trade is nearly at the break-even point here. Hopefully, it'll reach that. And then because of the day and the time of day and all that, as soon as it gets a break-even, I'm going to close it out. And not worry about trying to make a profit on that because it is time for it to go. All right, looks like Pedro is going to be back in time to end the show in the time frame that I'd like to here. Let's get the where is my little screen here? All right, let's get that our going out song today. All gassed up. By another YouTuber. Used to be on this show a long time ago. Used to be the Pedro of this show. His name is Wes. This is actually Wes singing it. The software wisely tried to blur me out when I tried to be cool. Just realized you guys can't hear that well. The volume is down.
Alrighty then.
There's Pedro.
Hey, how you doing there?
Pedro's just ending the show here. Got all gassed up playing, and the show is over. I gotta get going now. Defi Striking's done with her thing. It's the beginning of the holiday weekend here.
Oh, absolutely. Man, look at that. We went up, man. Shoot.
We did. You emptied out, and we went up, and my trade's getting closer to break even.
We should be at break even then, right?
I got a little bit more, but you're not. You can't hear it, but I'm playing. I'll drop it in your ear for a second.
There we go.
That's how we rolling today.
Who is this guy?
His name's Wes. He used to be the Pedro before you were on the show.
We should bring him back on, man. No? Why? What happened?
We'll talk about that off air.
He was a trader?
Yeah, his videos are still on the DYOR Media Network. The crypto altcoins. You can go down and you can see him down there. Let's turn this down a little bit while we finish this. I'll drop that out of your ear so it doesn't blow you up there. But it's still. Oh, you like it? All right. I just worried about it being too loud in your ear. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a good week here. We went a little long today because we're going to be off tomorrow. We want to keep those creator hours up. We're finishing up with Bitcoin doing a little pumping here as liquidity gets a little bit more thin and volume goes down. Means the last people left before the market dies for the holiday weekend here in the U.S. get to set the tone, and they're saying, "Pump it up, baby." But Pedro, thank you for a great week here. We had a good week talking about a number of topics from the Technical Tuesday to the what's ahead on Mondays. And then today's talk about the dollar and how the big beautiful bill might affect things. The big beautiful bill did pass, so apparently the market's liking that right now as there's in Bitcoin land. I went over the NASDAQ while you were otherwise busy, and NASDAQ took the announcement as positive, and then because the stock markets are closed, there wasn't really any liquidity left, and it didn't do much. But nonetheless, what a great week. We had a great week on Rumble. We read a whole bunch of ads here. And I'm just quickly checking to make sure there's not another one happening.
From a percentage level, can you go over maybe just real quick? Like, because I want to encourage our, like, we're talking like 20%, 30%, 5% increase?
In what?
And just in the increase of ads.
Well, the ads are up 100%. The number of ads we read today was rare when we only read one, but we've been steadily reading 2 or 3 every day, and 3 is the max you can read per show or something like that. So if we hit the max every time, that's great. But that's just confidence that Rumble has in us, and hopefully we'll be furthering our relationship with them shortly.
And then increase in value within those ads as well.
Trying to end this show here, Pedro.
I want to encourage our people who are supporting us, how they're helping us out. So this is where,
your eyeballs support us, ladies and gentlemen. Every time we show a QR code up here, if you click on it, then by God, that helps. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, next week we'll be on the air talking about many of the same topics. But also next week it's my birthday, so I'll be celebrating that at one point or another. Not during the show, but so it should be a fun week. The middle of July is the 4th of July, Independence Day for the U.S., and my special day too. So,
what are you going to be? 25?
Yes, I'm turning 29. You can see I'm just starting to get a few grays in here and stuff like that. By the time I'm 30, I'll be full gray.
Yeah. I think I actually have more gray than you do, man. Interesting. It's actually really interesting. Huh? Do you dye your stuff or no?
No.
Well, I mean, I know a guy who dyes his stuff, and I'm like, he's like, you should dye yours. I'm like, no, man. Like,
that's if I have to do another thing in my life and put another potion on my body, I do this, I this. I have to do that.
Same way.
And plus, apparently, Mrs. Striking is saying that she's going to like the salt and pepper look that I'll have very shortly here. So.
You'll be distinguished.
Distinguished. Right, exactly. All right, everybody, that's all we got for you today, and that's all we got for you this week. Thank you for tuning in, everyone on Rumble. Thanks to everyone on LinkedIn who watched this long show today. Really appreciate it. As I always like to say, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. We're jamming out to Wes, his song All Gassed Up or something like that. The man in the box next to me is Mr. Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, and Pedro Damas de Jour. We've had a good week here. We're going to have a good week next week. It'll be even better. Make sure you are here. Where the hell is my mouse? Make sure you are here to talk about it too. So be there.